I really try to lean into the permissions of any given project that I'm given. I don't want Dye Doctor's visor to be that tall, I think. I don't know. It's a nice looking shape, and I think actually it will help, especially younger artists, or newer artists, to have a pinnacle. Actually, what if we just leave that one like a crown, kind of like a little point to it, and this round, and, yeah. We'll roll with that for a little while and see how it glosses over our third eye. I have gone live. Seen you soon. Alright.
Hello, hello. I am here to fulfill a request that I made.
Do you want a hair tie or something?
No, I want my hair down. I'm going to read all of the magic cards that I have put in this big purple book. But here, I can show you. As I set up a webcam specifically for this. And Hachiko's here too.
Also, Hachiko is here.
So hello. It's been a while. The last time anyone actually saw me was on the Body Pillow stream. So the reason I kind of imagined setting this up, because I've got this really big book of magic cards, and it's like reading a story from like a big love seat, like recliner chair next to like a fire that doesn't exist. So this is gonna be a lot like the last reading magic card stream. Except there's like, I think probably about twice as many cards, and like almost none of them are lands. And there are no duplicates, so I don't know. Should I wait a second before getting started, or should we just jump on into it? How do you feel? I'm talking to you, Hachiko.
Oh, me?
Yes.
BJ's easier.
PJ's here, Dye Doctor's here.
Oh yeah, go for it. I'm gonna go briefly go live.
I guess I will tie my hair up.
Do you have a hair tie?
I do. And then the reason you tie it up like this, and then you drape it over the back of the chair so that when Himbo wakes up, Himbo goes and plays with it.
Aw. I'm like behind a door right now sleeping.
I'll make sure to show the pictures to the class. It's a binder I've had for several years now. It's where I store my cards that aren't in decks right now. So, alright. Chapter 1. White. Start with Sublime Exhalation. 6 and a white for a sorcery with Undaunted. This spell costs 1 generic less to cast for each opponent. Destroy all creatures. Exhale and let the winds carry your soul for all eternity. Next up, Worthy Knight. 1 and a white for a 2/2 creature human knight. Whenever you cast a knight spell, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Every Ardenvale aspirant must step through the flame. Their honor determines whether they burn or shine. Next up, Triumphant Reckoning. 6 and 3 white for a sorcery. Return all artifact, enchantment, and planeswalker cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And a flash of light and a burst of aether. Despair turned to hope and defeat turned to victory. Alright. General Tazri. 4 and a white for a 3/4 legendary creature human ally. When General Tazri enters the battlefield, you may search your library for any ally creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Pay 1 mana of every color. Ally creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of colors among those creatures. Next up, Tazri, Beacon of Unity. 4 and a white for a 4/6 legendary creature human warrior. This is previous General Tazri, but in the future. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. You can pay 2 and a blue, 2 are a blue, and then 2 are a black, and then 2 are a red, and then 2 are a green. And you get to look at the top 6 cards of your library, and you can reveal up to 2 of them. Reveal up to 2 cleric, rogue, warrior, wizard, and or ally cards from among them, and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Demoted Tazri. Well, yeah, they stopped being at war, so she didn't need to be a general anymore. Alright. Next up, Keeper of the Accord. 3 and a white for a 3/4 creature human soldier. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more creatures than you, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more lands than you may search your library for a basic plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. Next up, Promise of Tomorrow. 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, exile it. That. At the beginning of each end step, if you control no creatures, sacrifice Promise of Tomorrow and return all cards exiled with it to the battlefield under your control. Death can wait. Alright. Archon of Coronation. 4 and 2 white for a 5/5 creature Archon with flying. Whenever Archon of Coronation enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. As long as you're the Monarch, damage doesn't cause you to lose life. When a creature deals combat damage to you, its controller still becomes the Monarch. Arceus of Coronation. Alright. Bishop of Rebirth. 3 and 2 white for a 3/4 creature vampire cleric with vigilance. Whenever Bishop of Rebirth attacks, you may return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. In the death of the foe lies the resurrection of the faithful. It's the first page. Next up, Akroma's Will. 3 and a white for an instant. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast the spell, you may choose both. First choice. Creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn. Or, creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors until end of turn. Next up, Akroma, Vision of Ixidor. 5 and 2 white for a 6/6 legendary creature angel. with flying, first strike, vigilance, and trample. At the beginning of each combat until end of turn, each other creature you control gets +1/+1 if it has flying, +1/+1 if it has first strike, and so on for double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, protection, reach, trample, vigilance, and partner. And it also has partner. Resplendent Marshal. It's 1 and 2 white for a 3/3 creature angel warrior with flying. When Resplendent Marshal enters the battlefield or dies, you may exile another creature card from your graveyard. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control other than the Resplendent Marshal that shares a creature type with the exiled card. Next up, Skyclave Apparition. It's 1 and 2 white for a 2/2 creature core spirit. When Skyclave Apparition enters the battlefield, exile up to one target non-land, non-token permanent you don't control with converted mana cost 4 or less. When Skyclave Apparition leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner creates an XX blue illusion creature token, where X is the converted mana cost of the exiled card. Next up, Ondu Inversion. It's 6 and 2 white for a sorcery that says destroy all non-land permanents. At first rumble, you best hold on tight and pray to any gods you still hold dear. Quoted Nisdal, Seagate Trapfinder. And then on the back of the card is Ondu Sky Ruins, a land. When Ondu Sky Ruins enters the battlefield tapped, and you can tap it to add a white. It always seems so quiet in the aftermath of wrenching violence. Nisdal, Seagate Trapfinder. Isn't this just thrilling entertainment? All this is just voice acting practice for me. Alright. Next up, Sigil of the Empty Throne. 3 and 2 white for an enchantment. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. When Asha left Bant, she ensured that the world would have protection and order in her absence. Having fun? Me too, actually. Next up is Realm Cloaked Giant. 5 and 2 white for a 7/7 creature giant with vigilance. Also, it is the sorcery cast off. 3 and 2 white for a sorcery adventure. Destroy all non-giant creatures. Adventures you can play first, and then instead of going to the graveyard, they get exiled. And then you can play the creature part of the adventure later. Next up, Armored Sky Hunter. 3 and a white for a 3/3 creature cat knight with flying. Whenever Armored Sky Hunter attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put an aura or equipment card from among them onto the battlefield. If an equipment is put onto the battlefield this way, you may attach it to a creature you control. Put the rest of those cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. Soul of Eternity. 5 and 2 white for a star creature avatar. Soul of Eternity's power and toughness are each equal to your life total. With Encore for 7 and 2 white. Pay 7 and 2 white. Exile this card from your graveyard. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. They gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. Next up, I got 2 cards that work together. I have Solemnity. 2 and a white for an enchantment. Players can't get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. The arrival of the God Pharaoh marked a betrayal of both gods and mortals. And then it pairs with Phyrexian Unlife, 2 and a white for an enchantment. It says, you don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. As long as you have 0 or less life, all damage is dealt to you as though its source had infect. Damage is dealt to you in the form of poison counters. Poison counters say, if you have 10 or more poison counters, you lose the game. So if you have both cards out, essentially, your opponent can't kill you through combat damage. Which is how most decks try to win the game. Next up, Glorious Protector. 2 and 2 white for a 3/4 creature angel cleric with flash and flying. When Glorious Protector enters the battlefield, you may exile any number of non-angel creatures you control until Glorious Protector leaves the battlefield. Has Foretell for 2 and a white, which means for 2 generic mana you can foretell it, and then on a later turn you can pay its foretell cost, which is just usually a reduced cost to cast it. Cheating card. Search for Glory. 2 and a white for a snow sorcery. Search your library for a snow permanent card, a legendary card, or a saga card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. You gain 1 life for each snow mana spent to cast this spell. Snow mana is mana from a snow source. Priest of the Awakening Sun. It's 1 white for a 1/1 creature, human cleric. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may reveal a dinosaur card from your hand. If you do, you gain 2 life. You can pay 3 and 2 white to sacrifice Priest of the Awakening Sun. Search your library for a dinosaur card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Next up is Mirror Entity. 2 and a white for a 1/1 creature shapeshifter with Changeling. This card is every creature type at all times. You can pay any amount of mana and then have until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX and gain all creature types, where X is the amount of mana you paid this way. Unaware of Lorwyn's diversity, it sees only itself reflected 1,000 times over. Next up is Charming Prince. 1 and a white for a 2/2 creature human noble. When Charming Prince enters the battlefield, choose one. You can either scry 2, gain 3 life, or exile another target creature you own. Return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. Next. Sarah the Benevolent. 2 and 2 white for a 4 loyalty legendary planeswalker, Sarah. You can +2 her to have creatures you control with flying get +1/+1 until end of turn. You can -3 her to create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. You can -6 her to get an emblem with, if you control a creature, damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1, reduces it to 1 instead. Next up is Mentor of the Meek. 2 and a white for a 2/2 creature human soldier. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. In these halls, there is no pass or fail. Your true test comes with the first full moon. Thank you. My throat was getting dry. Hydrate in real time. Now I'm going to turn the page. Next up, I have Rolling Stones. 2 white for an enchantment that says, walls can attack as though they were not walls. Walls collapse and kill people all the time. Some are just more aggressive about it. Next up is Archon of Emeria. It's 2 and a white for a 2/3 creature Archon with flying. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Archons dispense justice according to an ancient and flawed premise. Nissa Ravine. Now I've got Fortunate Few. 3 and 2 white for a sorcery. Choose a non-land permanent you don't control. Then each other player chooses a non-land permanent he or she doesn't control that hasn't been chosen this way. Destroy all other non-land permanents. And the flavor text is just ... Is it over? Next up is Selfless Spirit. 1 and a white for a 2/1 creature spirit cleric with flying. Sacrifice Selfless Spirit. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. There is always more to give. I got a double-sided one now. Redain, God of the Worthy. 2 and a white for a 2/3 legendary creature god with flying and vigilance. Snowlands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Non-creature spells your opponents cast convert a mana cost 4 or greater. Cost 2 more to cast. And then on the other side, it says Valkmira, Protector's Shield, 3 and a white for a legendary artifact. If a source an opponent controls will deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent 1 of that damage. Whenever you or another permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller pays 1. So I found one of many artifacts that nobody in Commander runs that just completely shuts down Hachiko's mid-visit deck.
Is this fucking pacifism? No.
No. The other side.
Mad.
Also, pacifism doesn't shut down your deck.
This is enraging.
How does it make you feel that there's at least 4 other cards that do that same thing?
And well, how the preview text on this for the other side just says God.
Well, that's its creature type.
Oh.
As the name of the card is Redeemed God of the Worthy. Next up is Righteous Valkyrie. 2 and a white for a 2/4 creature, Angel Cleric. With flying, whenever another angel or cleric enters the battlefield under control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. As long as you have 7 more life than your starting life total, creatures you control get +2/+2. Next up is Doomscar. 3 and 2 white for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures. With Foretell, 1 and 2 white. During your turn, you may pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down. Cast it on a later turn for its Foretell cost. The realms crash together with Predagard at the center of the calamity. Oh, I have this one. This one's in the wrong place. Alright. Next up, Sigrid, the God-Favored. 1 and 2 white for a 2/2 legendary creature, human warrior, with flash, first strike, protection from god creatures. When Sigrid, God-Favor, enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target attacking or blocking creature until Sigrid leaves the battlefield. Never alone, never afraid. Rally the Ranks. 1 in white for an enchantment. As Rally the Ranks enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Doom 1993 Scar. Halvar united the spirits of all the clans into a single devastating force. Starnheim Unleashed. 2 and 2 white for a sorcery. Create a 4/4 white angel warrior creature token with flying and vigilance. If the spell was foretold, create X of those tokens instead. And it has a foretell cost of XX and a white. So if you foretell it, you can make 1 token for 3 mana, and then you can make 2 tokens for 5 mana. And you can make 3 tokens for 7 mana. Next up, Elspeth Conquers Death. 3 and 2 white for an enchantment, Saga. As this saga enters, and after your draw step, add a lore counter. Sacrifice after the 3rd one. Exile target permanent and opponent control. The first lore counter. Exile target permanent and opponent controls with converted mana cost 3 or greater. 2. Non-creature spells your opponent's cast cost 2 more to cast until your next turn. 3. Return target creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter or a loyalty counter on it. That's interesting. Is the way that's worded seems like you could totally put a loyalty counter on the creature. Halvar, God of Battle. 2 and 2 white for a 4/4 legendary creature god. Creatures you control that are enchanted or equipped have double strike. At the beginning of each combat, you may attach target aura or equipment attached to a creature you control to target creature you control. And it's double-sided. Sword of the Realms. 1 and a white for a legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has vigilance. Whenever an equipped creature dies, return it to its owner's hand. Next up. Runeforge Champion. 2 and a white for a 2/3 creature dwarf warrior. Whenever Runeforge Champion enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a rune card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. You may pay 1 generic mana rather than pay the mana cost for rune spells you cast. Next up is Luminarch Aspirant. 1 and a white for a 1/1 creature human cleric. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Rally to my light, and together we will drive out this darkness. And this is almost exactly the same as like a Hearthstone priest card. that I forget the name of right now, but I remember it being fairly good. And then like the starter deck for Priest. Next up, Court of Grace. 2 and 2 white for an enchantment. When Court of Grace enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. If you're the monarch, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying instead. A righteous sovereign makes for a blessed realm. Day of Judgment. 2 and 2 white for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures. I have seen planes leveled and all life rendered to dust. It brought no pleasure even to a heart as dark as mine. Quote Soren Markov. Alright, next up. Settle the Wreckage. 2 and 2 white for an instant. Exile all attacking creatures target player controls. That player may search his or her library for that many basic land cards. Put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle his or her library. Next up, Sarah Ascendant. It's 1 white mana for a 1/1 creature, human monk. With lifelink. As long as you have 30 or more life, Sarah Ascendant gets +5/+5 and has flying. Faith in Sarah is its own reward. Ooh. Ooh. Next up is Felidar Retreat. 3 and a white for an enchantment with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, choose one. Create a 2/2 white cat and beast creature token, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. Next up is Path to Exile. 1 white for an instant. Exile target creature. Its controller may search his or her library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle his or her library. Next I have Basiri Ket. 1 and 2 white for a 3 loyalty starting legendary planeswalker Basiri. You can +1 Basiri to put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. It gains indestructible until end of turn. -2 Basiri to have whenever 1 or more non-token creatures attack this turn, create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. Or -6, you get an emblem with at the beginning of your combat step. Create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, then put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And last for the chapter, I have Daybreak Coronet. 2 white for an enchantment aura. Whenever enchant creature with another aura attached to it. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and has first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. And that's it. Chapter 2. Blue. What do you mean there's 7 people in this chat? What do you mean there's 7 people in this chat right now?
They're all here to watch you read magic cards.
In honor of us getting to the blue section, I guess I'll just have to. I help pay for this. I will consume 1 marshmallow peep.
Now it's a mukbang stream.
Mm-hmm. I always knew it would be. This is like the saddest thing ever because after I finish this, I have to come up with another weird reward. It might just honestly be Lykios reads a full book chapter by chapter.
What would you read?
I want to read the Thankful novel that I have sitting on my desk that I don't have time to read, but if I do it for a stream.
Oh yeah, absolutely, that works.
All right.
That way you can practice your.
First up, I can do voices.
Yeah.
Mimi. First up for blue, Verity Circle. 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, you may draw a card. You can pay 4 and a blue to tap target creature without flying. Here there is only truth. Barviza, Azoria's emissary.
That's where you're at.
This actually doesn't need to be in the binder anymore.
Rarity circle.
Yeah, it's from a non-standard set.
No!
Why not?
Hold on, I have to see if it's useful for me.
I'm not gonna fucking take a bite out of like a fucking.
This would be useful for me to give.
How?
I don't know. You can draw cards with it. Here, you did fine. Go right ahead.
Yeah, but think about how you draw cards with it. But your opponents have to tap their creatures without attacking with them.
That's fair.
Well, what do you not want your opponents to do? Attack with your creatures. Attack with their creatures. So I don't know. It doesn't. Okay, here's the thing: is it doesn't beat off Seraph because there's only one mana dork that would tap to do something in Seraph. There's one creature that does that. Yuri's deck's mixture of different ramp things is mostly not. It's about a third, and a third, so it's mostly not stuff that taps itself.
That's fair. How does that taste?
Like paper? Why, did you think it tasted good or something?
Did you swallow it?
Yes. What kind of host would I be if I didn't swallow the virginity circle? I got like, with the bite, I got like exactly just the name of the card. But I did happen to rip it in half. Check it.
Oh my god. Are you gonna eat the rest of it?
Hell no. I've got other cards I need to take a bite out of.
Can I get you a container for this?
Yeah, sure, yes. If you want. Alright, next up. Oh, this one seems tasty. Feet Swallower. 5 and 2 blue for a 6/6 creature, fish. Whenever Fleet Swallower attacks, target player puts the top half of his or her library rounded up into his or her graveyard.
I got you a bucket. What side of you do you want the bucket on?
That's fine. Put that in there. Captain, I think that island is following us. Yeah, look, it's Feet Swallower. Next up is Fae of the Wishes. A 2-mana 1/4 creature fairy wizard with an adventure. Granted, 3 and a blue for a sorcery adventure. Captain, I can't feel my toes. You may choose a non-creature card you own from outside the game, reveal it, and put it into your hand. And then Fae of Wishes, as a creature, has flying. Pay 2 and discard 2 cards. Return Fae of Wishes to its owner's hand. Next up is Drown Secrets. 1 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever you cast a blue spell, target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. Beneath Ravnica streets runs a layer of tunnels, then caverns and waterways, terrors and nightmares. Next up is Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. 3 and a blue for a 3/1 legendary creature, human rogue. You may have Sakashima of 1,000 Faces enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control, except it has Sakashima of 1,000 Faces' other abilities. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. Partner. You can have 2 commanders if both have partner. Captain, I can't feel my toes. I'm still stuck on that. Next up is Narcomoeba. 1 and a blue for a 1/1 creature illusion with flying. Whenever Narcomoeba is put into your graveyard from your library, you may put it onto the battlefield. What bait do you cast to catch a dream? An old Ravnican riddle. Next up is Sakashima's Protege. 4 and 2 blue for a creature. 3/1 creature shapeshifter with flash. With Cascade, when you cast a spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exiled cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may have Sakashima's Protege enter the battlefield as a copy of any permanent that entered the battlefield this turn. Next up is Scholar of the Lost Trove. 5 and 2 blue for a 5/5 creature Sphinx. Flying. When Scholar of the Lost Trove enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant, sorcery, or artifact card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If an instant or sorcery card cast this way will be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Next up, Mythos of Ilyuna. 2 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of target permanent. If red and green was spent to cast this spell, instead create a token that's a copy of that permanent, except that token has, when this permanent enters the battlefield, if it's a creature, it fights up to one target creature you don't control. Next up, Kindred Discovery. 3 and 2 blue for an enchantment. As Kindred Discovery enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card. Few things are truly lost at sea. Next up, Thassa's Oracle. 2 blue for a 1/3 creature Merfolk Wizard. When Thassa's Oracle enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. Put up to one of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. Each blue in the mana cost of permanents you control counts towards your devotion to blue. Next up is Mass Manipulation. 4 blue and XX for a sorcery. Gain control of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. Those who cross the dimmer find enemies everywhere they turn. Next up, Mnemonic Deluge. 6 and 3 blue for a sorcery. Exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Copy that card 3 times. You may cast the copies without paying their mana costs. Exile Mnemonic Deluge. Next up, sorry. Got my neck is sore. Next up, Wrong Turn. 2 and a blue for an instant. Target opponent gains control of target creature. If an attacking or blocking creature changes controllers, it's removed from combat. Its bewildered bellow is met with a stern shh. You can... A lot of the flavor text doesn't make sense unless you can see the art, but you can see the giant monsters in a library. Ooh, spooky. Scary, the knowledge. The library is where the knowledge goes to sleep. Next up, Clever Impersonator. 2 and 2 blue for a 0/0 creature shapeshifter. You may have Clever Impersonator enter the battlefield as a copy of any non-land permanent on the battlefield. Our own shelves are the greatest obstacles to enlightenment. Narset, Khan of the Jeskai. Next up, I have Mana Drain. 2 blue for an instant. Counter target spell. At the beginning of your next main phase, add an amount of colorless equal to that spell's converted mana cost. Enthusiasm is no match for preparation. Ludovic's Test Subject. A 2-mana 0/3 creature lizard with Defender. Put a hatchling counter on Ludovic's Test Subject. Pay 1 and a blue to put a hatchling counter on Ludovic's Test Subject. Then if there are 5 or more hatchling counters on it, remove all of them and transform it. That's right, it has a second. It has a second.
Aww.
Himbo cameo, Himbo cameo. Here, you can have him. He's so sleepy.
Okay.
Was he hiding behind the door?
No, he was sleeping.
He was on the bed. He was hiding on the door earlier. Transforms into Ludovic's Abomination, a 13/13 creature lizard horror with trample. After several frustrating experiments, the visionary Ludovic realized he needed to create a monster that fed on torch-wielding mobs. I can pet Himbo and do the stream at the same time. Blind Seer. 2 and 2 blue for a 3/3 creature human legend. 1 and a blue. You can pay 1 and a blue to have target spell or permanent become the color of your choice until end of turn. I think he sees more than he lets on. Quote Gerard.
Magic the Gathering Deckmasters. Magic the Gathering Deckmasters. Magic the Gathering Deckmaster.
Magic the Gathering
I had to
Deckmaster.
catch up for you.
I know.
Magic the Gathering Deckmaster.
You have to read every single Magic the Gathering Deckmaster.
No, I don't, because they're facing outward.
You have to take them out after. What if one of them has a different...
Everyone's saying hi to Yuri.
It's me, Yuri.
Alright, next up. Eligeth, crosswords. Oh, that's right, you're off work.
Yeah, I'm done.
So I was waiting, I was like, why have they not gone back to the Yuri hole? Alright, it's goodbye time.
He's going back to sleep. He likes the sunbeam.
So why did you move me? It was so nice and warm there. Eligeth, Crossroads Augur, 4 and 2 blue for a 5/6 legendary creature Sphinx with flying. If you would scry a number of cards, draw that many cards instead. With partner, you can have 2 commanders that both have partner. There's no better place to divine the future than at a nexus of branching presence. Next up is Force of Negation. 1 and 2 blue for an instant. If it's not your turn, you may exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. Quote, try if you must. It's the flavor text. A lot of the counter spells have some fucking really good flavor text.
Do you have to say it out loud every time? Can we make that a house rule? It costs 1 less mana if you say it out loud.
No, it's too much. Next up is Ascendant Spirit. 1 blue mana for a 1/1 snow creature spirit. You can pay 2 snow mana to have Ascendant Spirit become a spirit warrior with base power and toughness 2/3. Then you can pay 3 snow mana if Ascendant Spirit is a warrior, put a flying counter on it, and it becomes a spirit warrior angel with base power and toughness 4/4. Then you can pay 4 snow mana, and then if Ascendant Spirit is an angel, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and it gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card.
That's snow mana.
I demand an immediate reprint to make all of the cards more gay. Hey, Hachiko, do you want to find a link to the one commander that's 2 gay men?
Gay commanders. Nothing else.
Yeah, like...
The Revolutionary War hero who is openly gay. The highest ranking openly gay military.
Yeah, those two.
officers.
Gay boys. Commander EDH MTG deck.
Gay boys.
Gay boys. Are you talking about the one
Yeah,
card
those
that's just
two.
2 gay men? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah.
Milo and
commanders.
Touchy.
Milo and Touchy. Next up is Jace, Mirror Mage. 1 and 2 blue for a 4 loyalty legendary planeswalker Jace with kicker 2. When Jace Mirror Mage enters the battlefield, if Jace was kicked,
As you do.
create a token that's a copy of Jace Mirror Mage, except it's not legendary and its starting loyalty is 1.
Jason's just lame Jaina Proudmoore.
Yeah. You can +1 to scry too. You can 0 to draw a card and reveal it. Remove a number of loyalty counters equal to that card's converted mana cost from Jace Mirror Mage. Next up is Snapcaster Mage. 1 and a blue for a 2/1 creature human wizard with flash. When Snapcaster Mage enters the battlefield, target sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. That was fucking great. Alright, Seagate Stormcaller. 1 and a blue for a 2/1 creature human wizard. With kicker, 4 and a blue. When Seagate Stormcaller enters the battlefield, copy the next instant or sorcery spell with converted mana cost 2 or less you cast this turn when you cast it. If Seagate Stormcaller was kicked, copy that spell twice instead. You may choose new targets for the copies. Orvar, the All Form. 3 and a blue for a legendary creature shapeshifter. 3/3 legendary creature shapeshifter with changeling. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets one or more other permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. When a spell or ability an opponent controls costs you discard this card, create a token that's a copy. To discard this card, create a token that's a copy of target permanent. Interesting. I didn't quite remember that's what that card did.
No.
It's actually a really cool commander. If I was going to build a mono blue commander, it would be this one. Because there's a bunch of really weird like mono blue cantrips that target lands. That do weird shit. So you can play this, and then you could like for like 1 mana, play like some spell that targets your land to do something that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then since you targeted your land, you make a token that's a copy of the land.
Oh.
And then usually those are cantrips, so they let you draw a card. So it's card neutral.
I like that.
Yeah, but it works really well. It's a great commander. Do you only get one? Yes, you only get one unless both commanders have partner.
Yeah, with Commander, you put 1 card off to the side, and that's special. It has to be a legendary creature.
Yeah.
And it stays to the side until you play it by paying its mana cost. And then if it dies afterwards, it goes into the command zone again instead of back in your graveyard or your deck or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can play it again for 2 more.
Yeah, and there's a tax. So
Yeah.
each time you keep track of the tax, and it costs 2 more for each time you play it. Reflections of Littjara. 4 and a blue for an enchantment. As Reflections of Littjara enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, copy that spell. A copy of a permanent spell becomes a token. The masks float downstream towards the mirror lake, where faces arise to wear them. Interesting. I don't know anything about a lot of the lore. MTG, the cards that do magic when you gather. Alright, on to page 3, or page 4 of the blue section.
Gotta keep the bucket here.
Yes.
That's for the eaten cards.
That's for the eaten
half-eaten cards. You only eat the good part, and then you toss out the shell.
Toss out the shell.
Toss out the shell.
Gadwick the Wizened. X and 3 blue for a 3/3 legendary creature human wizard. Do you like the phrase human wizard?
Yeah.
Human wizard.
When Gadwick the Wizened enters the battlefield, draw X cards.
Oh no, I've been wizened. I'm a wizard now.
Whenever you cast a blue spell, tap target non-land permanent an opponent controls. His name is spoken only in whispers, but he hears just the same. This is Magic's what's it called?
Dumbledore.
No, not Dumbledore.
No.
What's the real one? The Merlin.
Merlin.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Merlin.
Magic
Real
Merlin.
one?
Yeah.
The real one.
Well, like,
The actually real one.
No, well, Merlin was a real person. It's just he wasn't a real wizard.
We don't know that.
Okay, fine. We don't know that,
He was
but
just
sure.
an ice wizard. Don't be mean.
Just a what?
Oh.
An ice wizard.
Ice wizard.
I
Oh,
don't
that
think those are
aged
real.
you.
What?
That showed your age a little bit.
What age?
Was
What
that an
happened?
Adventure Time reference?
No.
No?
They're ice
think
wizards
so.
in Adventure Time.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Adventure Time. I do know that there's the Ice King,
The whole-
and there's a clip that was recently gained popularity where he's always after to capture the Princess Bubblegum and marry her, but like some weird magic happens, and then like Princess Bubblegum has to be taken to a doctor, and everyone's like sitting in the waiting room waiting. Ice King's there, just like fucking waiting,
Yeah.
and they're like, well, she survived, but the bad news is she's 13. He's like, I'm out, and he's fucking bails onto the window.
He gets better as time goes on.
Oh yeah, he's really funny. It's
Basically,
just...
do you want me to explain the plot of Adventure Time?
Sure, sure, why not?
We're not doing anything else in this stream.
Yeah.
So basically, there was a nuclear war, except for the special magic crown that can grant wishes, but it turns you insane.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Magic Ice King was usually a normal guy.
Simon
and then-
Petrikov.
And then he turns into a crazy Iceman because he stopped the nuclear bombs from destroying the whole world. And then that's it. Now
Okay.
he's alive thousands of years later, along with his vampire adopted daughter.
Oh. All right, next card. Mirror Maid. 1 and 2 blue for an enchantment. You may have Mirror Maid enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. Share your darkest secret, and the mirror will reveal your soul's essence. Siri, a royal mirror keeper. Adventure Time MTG crossover. Yeah, that's scary. I don't want that to happen. Magic is currently in the works. They've unveiled that they're actually working on several crossover sets. Like there's one. They said, "Well, we're gonna do a crossover with Warhammer 40K." I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Why would you pick 40K when there's a fantasy version of Warhammer that already exists? And what was the other one? They were gonna do something stupid. Something else that was stupid. So I don't have the Walking Dead cards.
They already did Magic
spend that money.
Pony Gathering, right?
They did, but those cards were like Silver Border, which were like their joke cards.
Oh, I left my computer on loud.
That fucking scared me a whole lot. Holy shit!
What?
I just got a text message and it says, "Hi, real name, looking to fill a role in Palm," and then it cuts off. But I read the Palm as PORN. I was like, "What?"
Are you
recording? I was like, "What? Why did I see this?" The Godzilla deck is cool. The Godzilla cards are fine. The Godzilla cards use art, and then they make like real Magic cards, and they have like real Magic equivalents, all of them except for like the actual Godzilla card itself, the red green legendary one. That one doesn't have a legendary equipment or legendary. I have this stupid sore spot on the back of my neck that sucks. I might need to put some rubbing alcohol on it. I was told it didn't look great. It's like a cluster of bumps, but I think it's just a heat rash. It's bothering me, so I'm sorry if I just remove my neck.
Just remove your neck, just slowly scrape it away on stream.
Scratch at it like the My Hero villain dude. Alright. Next up, Cyclone Summoner. 5 and 2 blue for a 7/7 creature giant wizard. When Cyclone Summoner enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, return all permanents to their owner's hands except for giants, wizards, and lands. Frost giants study for centuries in isolation, honing their ability to harness elemental mayhem.
Isolation.
Oh, this is a good one. I'm gonna pull this out. Despite the fact that this card's like $70 now. Not even in a sleeve. This card was like $2 when I bought it. But it's on the reserve list, and then the reserve list spikes happen all the time. I don't know why this card's on the fucking reserve list. This card sucks. Like a lot. This card sucks like a lot. Thought Lash, 2 and 2 blue for an enchantment with cumulative upkeep, which says at the beginning of your upkeep you have to pay the upkeep. You have to put a counter on it, and then for each counter on it you have to pay the upkeep cost. This one is actually one of like this is one of the not bad cumulative upkeep cards. Most of them suck.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that though I have a rash in my hand. This winter that would just oh yeah, I get that. Cumulative upkeep. Remove the top card of your library from your game. If you do not, remove your library from the game and bury Thought Lash. You can pay 0 and remove the top card of your library from the game to prevent 1 damage to you. And here's the art.
What if you have persistent petitioners?
When what? Target yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. There's this really fun card. There's this really fun commander named Zedru. Zedru is a minotaur, but she's also like a mountain goat with like no, she's like a gazelle, but she's a minotaur. Zedru lets you pay 3 mana at instant speed to give an opponent any of your permanents, and then at the beginning of your turn, you draw a card and gain a life for each permanent you own that is controlled by someone else. So you do shit like play Thought Lash and then give it to someone, and then they can't get rid of it. So eventually they're just gonna get rid of their entire deck.
I think that has happened to me.
There's another one called, I think it's called Illusions of Grandeur. It's a 3-mana enchantment that's with cumulative upkeep, I think 1, where you have to pay 1 mana. But it's like, when it enters the battlefield, you gain 20 life. When it leaves the battlefield, you lose 20 life. So you play it, gain the 20 life, and then you donate it to someone else, and then you destroy it.
Perfect.
So that's fun. Like that, it was originally printed in the same set as another card, a blue card called Donate, which does just that for 3 mana, and like it was so good. They were like, well, why did we? It's like the fucking past version of the Saheeli Felidar bullshit, where 2 cards were printed like within like a month of each other or whatever, and they're like, well, we didn't really quite think that these would go together this well.
Do you think they have to sit there with like a string and a corkboard with like every magic card, and they have to like test every single one, every single combination?
Yeah, I think they do, which makes it even funnier because they only have like a team of like 200 people, and when they like spoil the cards, people are immediately like, that would go perfect with this fucking obscure card right now. And like imagine being on that team when they fucking miss something, and they're like, oh shit, we fucking missed that.
I specifically hope you get that job one day, just because I would want to watch you get tormented.
You
by
could
that.
be the magic card rememberer.
Yeah. One of the shitty thing about it that happened the last time was it wasn't like, okay, I think like Donate and Illusions were like 2 or 3 sets apart. The Sahili and the Felidar Guardian or whatever it's called were literally in adjacent sets in the same block. and the even fucking harsher part about that was everyone's like, oh my god, the cat combo was horrible, I can't wait for them to ban it. And like, oh, they're doing a banned and restricted, I bet they're gonna ban it. And they were like, no changes. And then the set came out, and then like 3 days later, it was like, okay, emergency, Felidar Guardian is banned. No, we're sorry.
Sorry, we were off.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, next up. Kazima, God of the Voyage. 2 and a blue for a 2/4 legendary creature god. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile Kazima. If you do, it gains whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control. If Kazima is exiled, you may put a Voyage counter on it. If you don't, return Kazima to the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it and draw X cards, where X is the number of Voyage counters on it.
Mm-hmm.
The other side is the Omen Keel, a 2-mana 3/3 legendary artifact vehicle with crew 1. Whenever a vehicle you control does combat damage to a player, that player exiles that many cards from the top of their library. You may play lands from among those cards for as long as they remain exiled.
Oh.
That's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that's what that did.
So that one didn't have a Magic the Gathering Deckmaster?
No, it didn't.
Oh.
It was 2-sided. And
That's so wild.
And you can't fucking... No, you can't go like that because I know you know that the 2-sided cards exist.
So we'll just -1 from the number of cards in this deck that I'll have to go through after.
Say Magic the Gathering Deckmaster.
Yeah.
Next up is Graven Lore. 3 and 2 blue for a snow instant. Scry X, where X is the amount of snow mana spent to cast the spell, then draw 3 cards. Snow mana is mana from a snow source.
That's no source.
Snow source. The runes glow beneath the snow, bearing memories of a time when the old gods ruled the realms.
That's no god.
Next up, Supreme Phantom. 1 and a blue for a 1/3 creature spirit with flying. Other spirits you control get +1/+1. A king's knowledge does not vanish when the heart stops beating.
Does it? Is that a reference to Gurren Lagann?
I don't fucking know. Next up, it's Alron's Epiphany. 5 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Create 2 1/1 blue bird creature tokens with flying. Take an extra turn after this one. Exile Alron's Epiphany. You can foretell it for 4 and 2 blue. During your turn, you may pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down. Cast it on a later turn for its foretell cost. I did that pause there because I was hoping you'd be like for fucking 7 mana, that's all it does. It makes 2 1/1.
Oh, I'm drifting in and out.
That's okay. I'm just giving you the opportunity to make the funnies.
Foretell.
Foretell.
Shouldn't it be forecast?
That's really funny. Oi!
Oi!
Oi! Mystic Reflection. 1 and a blue for an instant. Choose target non-legendary creature. The next time 1 or more creatures or planeswalkers enter the battlefield this turn, they enter as copies of the chosen creature. You can foretell for 1 blue. Next up, Alrun, God of the Cosmos. 3 and 2 blue for a 1/1 legendary creature god. Alrun gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand and each foretold card you own in exile. At the beginning of your end step, choose a card type, then reveal the top 2 cards of your library. Put all cards of the chosen type into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And then on the other side is Haka, Whispering Raven, a 1 and 2 blue for a 2/3 legendary creature bird with flying. Whenever Haka, Whispering Raven, deals combat damage to a player, return it to its owner's hand, then scry 2. This is the Odin. Next up,
Odin?
yeah, Odin.
I thought it was like the god of the cosmos from Katamari Damacy.
I mean, like, you can look at him. This is like, it's close.
Yeah, he just needs to be. He hasn't been smushed flat yet.
Yeah.
In modern times, in Magic 40K, that's after that. That's when
Next up,
his head gets switched.
Next up is Jalira, Master Polymorphist.
Ooh.
3 and a blue for a 2/2 legendary creature human wizard. You can pay 2 blue and tap her to sacrifice another creature. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You can become anything if I just put my mind to it. Isn't there? Yeah, it's Call Time. I have a bunch of cards from Call Time in this binder.
Is that it? No.
No.
Oh.
No, that's not it. No, now I'm double sure that's not it. That sounds familiar, but I don't know what that is either. We need to stop. We need to stop right now.
That's just because of your stream music.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's PJ's theme.
Next up is Icebreaker Kraken. 10 and 2 blue for an 8/8 snow creature Kraken. This spell costs 1 generic less to cast for each snow land you control. When Icebreaker Kraken enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target opponent controls don't untap during that player's next untap step. Return 3 snowlands you control to their owner's hand to return Icebreaker Kraken to its owner's hand.
That's no ice cracker.
You do that every time. You have to think of different
They're
things.
all different ones. They've all been
different snow jokes, I will be fair.
That's no joke.
It's no joke. That's actually the first time they've used that one this time. Midnight Clock. 2 and a blue for an artifact. Tap to add a blue. You can pay 2 and a blue to put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. At the beginning of each upkeep, put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. When a 12th hour counter is put on Midnight Clock, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library. Then draw 7 cards. Exile Midnight Clock.
You should draw 12.
Okay.
Can we house roll that?
No.
Oh.
That only benefits Hachiko.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, this is the clock from Cinderella. That's the reference.
Oh, I thought it was the clock from the secret boss from Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, so we need to eventually force Lykios to play Kingdom Hearts on stream.
I will fucking play it. The trilogy is coming out on like Epic's Game Store like this month or next month or something.
Yeah, I'm so
Oh, is it?
excited.
Yeah, you were the one who pointed it out to me.
I thought it was out already. That's why
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, oh yeah, we gotta force him to do it.
I'll look and I'll think about it. By that I mean I'll think about purchasing it. It makes the wolf look so sad and my shirt gets creased. Inspired Sphinx.
Well,
5.
iron your shirt.
It's just my fucking stomach folds. Don't worry about it. Inspired
We'll
Sphinx.
start it too.
5 and 2 blue for a 5/5 creature Sphinx. Flying. When Intrepid Sphinx enters the battlefield, draw cards equal to the number of opponents you have. You can pay 3 and a blue to create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying.
Okay, name the Sphinx card. It walks on 2 legs in the morning, 4 legs in the afternoon, and 6 legs in the evening.
6?
The other 5 are its penis.
Next, you pitch to be like, this explains the timeline of Kingdom Hearts. Well, that would be really funny. I don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts.
You have to learn it through playing all of the Kingdom Hearts games.
Yeah.
Every single Kingdom Hearts game.
You'll never take Kyrie's heart.
God, I fucking yesterday I finished Dead Space.
Yeah.
and I know enough about Dead Space. I'm gonna get Dead Space 2.
Kingdom Hearts, besides all the weird story stuff, is at its heart a pretty good beat 'em up.
Spoilers
Yeah.
for Dead Space, but do you want to know what the main goal of the Necromorphs in Dead Space is?
What?
They want to kill enough things, get enough biomatter that they can just all clump it together and make a moon. It's called a Brethren moon.
Like a
No, you're thinking of the
Flash.
Flood from Halo. They were halfway there. That was the sequel to Dead Space.
What, Halo, the game that came out?
Yeah, because the Necromorphs evolve into the Halo Flood. They have created the Halo. They're like a quarter of the way to creating a moon. They just have to fill in the rest of it.
I might do it later. I'm gonna rush to play. Okay, next up. Body of Knowledge. 3 and 2 blue for a star, a creature avatar. Body of Knowledge's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. You have no maximum hand size. Whenever Body of Knowledge is dealt damage, draw that many cards.
I do have a
Dagger's back.
maximum hand size. I can only hold like 8 cards max. I definitely can't hold the whole deck.
Oh, big game is high rates.
Oh, God.
Hydrate. Oops. Yuri's ass cameo. Yuri's ass cameo. Oh, here we go. Never mind. I already have my. Hachiko brought me water.
New cups. Sakashima Student. 2 and 2 blue for a 0/0 creature human ninja. With Ninjutsu 2. Ninjutsu 1 in a blue. You can pay 1 in a blue and return an unblocked attacker you control to hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand tapped and attacking. You may have Sakashima Student enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's a ninja in addition to its other creature types. God.
Jumpsuit moist.
Moist.
You guys turn
Moist.
that shit inside out.
Moist Nugget.
If you turn it inside out, you get double the wicking.
Next up is Mu Yangling, Sky Dancer. 1 and 2 blue for a 2 loyalty legendary Planeswalker Yangling. You can +2 her to have until your next turn up to 1 target creature gets -2/-0 and loses flying. You can -3 her to create a 4/4 blue elemental bird creature token with flying. You can -8 her to you get an emblem with islands you control have tap, draw a card. Next up, Inscription of Insight. 3 and a blue for a sorcery with kicker 2 and 2 blue. Choose one. If the spell is kicked, choose any number instead. The 3 choices are return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands. And then scry 2, then draw 2 cards. And then target player creates an XX blue illusion creature token where X is the number of cards in their hand. And that's it for all of the blue cards.
Magic the Gathering Deckmaster.
I will now consume another peep.
Oh, here we go. Peep on stream. Monkatos.
All of these peeps I got from my mother have like broken eyes. They're super droopy.
Peeps were a failed experiment. We should not do them anymore. This is not an acceptable quality of products when it's not the 1970s.
Back then, it was the best that they had.
Yeah.
They were so excited to eat food that wasn't normal calories.
They're excited to make food to eat food that they didn't make,
Did you?
and that was it.
Did you see the experiment they did where like they set up the lighting in a room so that made the food all like normal appetizing colors, but they made the food itself blue. And then they had a bunch of people like line up to eat it, and then they flipped off the lights halfway through their meal and revolted everyone at the table.
That's really funny.
Because like a steak's not supposed to be blue, and all of a sudden like the meat was blue.
I'll make a blue cheese glaze.
It's St. Patrick's Day. Should we make the steaks we're gonna have tonight green?
Oh.
You can just put plants on it. Green is a normal color for plants. I can make pesto.
Should we just empty an entire bottle?
Green food coloring onto a steak. Peeps taste like sugar. And that's about it.
They have the little crunchy stuff.
They're basically sugar.
Only the
and-
special ones have crunchy stuff. They are marshmallows with dyed sugar, and they taste like straight sugar. So if like,
It's
you want-
sugar and gelatin.
yeah,
That's what a marshmallow is.
do not make green steak, banned. All right, on to chapter 3.
Fluffy is disagreeing with us.
Black. First up, Spawn of Mayhem. 2 and 2 black for a 4/4 creature demon with spectacle 1 and 2 black. You may cast this card. I might need to turn the fucking light on. It's starting to get dark.
Oh, I've seen this in Magic the Gathering Arena online.
Yeah. You may cast this spell for its spectacle cost rather than its mana cost if an opponent lost life this turn. Flying. It has flying and trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, Spawn of Mayhem deals 1 damage to each player. Then if you have 10 or less life, put a +1/+1 counter on Spawn of Mayhem. And then next one, I promise I only read the text on the cards. So this one is just Doomblade.
Doomblade.
And I know what it does, but that's all the text that's on the cards.
Is it a Doomblade token?
No, it's not a Doomblade token.
No.
It's the card, Doomblade, but they got rid of all the text.
That's what a token is.
No, that's not what a token is. This is an actual spell that you can play that normally has text on it. This is one that doesn't have text on it. You know, for value.
Why?
Value.
Because it looks pretty. The art is just all card.
It's not accessible for
I know it's not accessible.
with bad memory.
We all know it's not accessible.
They should have holograms.
They should have holograms.
You should be able to turn on subtitles for Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. God, living the dream.
They have copyright information on it.
Harry, I'm not reading the Carl Critchlow. Trademark and copyright 1993 to 2011. Wizards of the Coast LLC 3 out of 9 P11.
3 out of 9.
Next up is Mausoleum Secrets.
Do you think they rate their own artwork before they send it out, and that's what that was? Yeah, this one's a 3 out of 9.
No, it's where's the 3 out of 9 on the page? Yeah, it's the 3rd out of the 9 Players Reward Series.
Oh.
Next up, Mausoleum Secrets, 1 in a black, 29th to the 30th of September 2018. That's what it says on the card.
Oh.
Instant, with Undergrowth. Search your library for a black card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. 075 out of 259 R. Green, star in, brush, Adam Paquette. Trademark and copyright 2018 Wizards of the Coast.
Well, you see, the reason they have a date on there is because the Magic the Gathering calendar starts on the day that pre-Jesus was born. They haven't had regular Jesus. They have to wait for 20,000 years in the future, and then another 20,000 later will be Magic the Gathering 40K.
God.
You got to do an engine poll. The transmission came with the engine, but you'd say it was a success.
Next up is Valki, God of Lies. 2 mana for a 2/1 legendary creature god. When Valki enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals their hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card.
Is that a bussy?
Where?
Grim
Here?
Tutor?
Here? No. No, it's not. It's a book. We'll get to Grim Tutor in a
looks like
second.
a book pussy.
What? Come on.
We're not there yet. We're reading the other card. Valki, God of Lies. 1 in a black 2/1 legendary creature god. When Valki enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals their hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card that revealed this way until Valki leaves the battlefield. Choose a creature card exiled with Valki. With converted mana cost X, Valki becomes a copy of that card. And then on the back, it's Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter. 5, a black and a red for a legendary planeswalker, Tybalt. As Tybalt enters the battlefield, you get an emblem with if you may play cards exiled with Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter, and you may spend mana as though or mana of any color to cast those spells. With 5 loyalty, you can +2 Tybalt to exile the top card of each player's library. You can -3 Tybalt to exile target artifact or creature. You can -8 Tybalt to exile all cards from all graveyards and get 3 mana.
Tybalt is
Next
such a
up,
cute name for such an
Tybalt.
intimidating... Oh.
Tybalt.
I'll transcribe it for the chat.
Yeah, with an I, yeah. No.
There you
Tibalt, Tybalt. And Tybalt was a normal human a while ago until he realized he started just like torturing small animals, I think.
Oh.
Because he lived on Innistrad, the Gothic horror plane, and was like, well, there's a lot of power to be had in causing pain. And then a bunch of devils pop out of the ground and say, hey, motherfucker, we like what you've been doing. You should do it on people.
Oh my god.
And then he did. And then they're like, hey, we got a boss dude who's going to give you a lot of power. And then the boss dude gave him a lot of power and caused all of the pain that he had ever caused on anyone else onto him. And that nearly killed him, igniting his planeswalker spark, sending him into the Aether. And then Tybalt has always just been a laughing stock.
It's like the mutant.
This Tybalt card is actually very fucking good, though. Next up,
the trouble with Tybalt.
Next up is Grim Bussy. 1 and 2 black for a sorcery. Search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand and shuffle your library. You lose 3 life. As blood touched the empty page, it formed words that seared themselves onto the wizard's mind. And we've been.
There it is. It's gaping.
It's a book.
It's fully open, full frontal.
You showed the camera this, right?
I did. It's a book.
The other bussy.
That was the one from Romeo and Juliet that was scared. Book lewds. Now, when you said, is that a bussy, I thought you meant the Grave Titan.
No.
I was like, what?
That is a cute pose, though. That's like a pinup pose.
This one?
Yeah.
Alright, next up, Grave Titan.
That's valid.
4 and 2 black for a 6/6 creature giant with Death Touch. Whenever Grave Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, put 2/2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield. Death in form and function. Next up, Opposition Agent. 2 and a black for a 3/3 creature human rogue with flash. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. While an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast them. Next up is Phage the Untouchable. 3 and 4 black for a 4/4 legendary creature avatar minion. Whenever Phage the Untouchable enters the battlefield, if you didn't cast it from your hand, you lose the game. Whenever Phage deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. It can't be regenerated. Whenever Phage deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. There's a mod for Skyrim that turns children into potatoes.
Can we turn children into nothing?
So Phage is really fun. It's a really janky meme commander, because since your commander's in the command zone and you cast her, she enters the battlefield and her first ability triggers. So you have to find a way to circumvent that.
Uh-oh. Counterspell, counterspell, counterspell.
Next up is Mind Leecher. You're kind of right. In the most loose definition of a counterspell, it's mostly a card called Torpor Orb.
Yeah.
Which is a 2-mana artifact that says when stuff enters the battlefield, nothing happens. And then there's another one. I forget exactly what it's called. Maybe like Witchclaw Talisman. It lets you that in Command Beacon. It lets you put your commander from the command zone into your hand. And then another one is called Sundial of the Infinite.
Uh-huh.
It's a 1-mana artifact that has no, it's a 2-mana artifact that has, you can pay 1 and tap it to end the turn, and then it says in parentheses, activate this ability only on your turn. So you can play Phase, wait for the ability to go in the stack, and then end the turn, so the ability gets exiled, and you don't lose the game.
Oh. You can't lose the game if you've already won.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Twerper Orb, though. It's like,
Twerper
oh,
Orb's
you're
good.
here, twerp.
That's really good. Next up is Mind Bleacher. It's 4 and 2 black for a 5/5 creature nightmare with mutate 4 and a black. If you cast a spell for its mutate cost, put it over or under target non-human creature you own. Oh, interesting. You can mutate on the creatures you own that don't control it. I didn't know that. They mutate into the creature on top plus all abilities from under it. With flying. Whenever this creature mutates, exile the top card of each opponent's library face down. You may look at and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. Woo. Stronghold Assassin is a 1 and 2 black for a 2/1 creature zombie assassin. Tap, sacrifice a creature, destroy target non-black creature. The assassin sees only throats and hears only heartbeats. This is one of the oldest cards I own. This was like from the first commander deck that I bought.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have smart zombies. I don't like that.
Don't like that. Singir, the Dark Baron, 4 and 2 blue for a 4/4 legendary creature vampire noble with flying. Whenever another creature dies, put 2+1/+1 counters on Singir, the Dark Baron. Whenever another player loses the game, you gain life equal to that player's life total as the turn began. With partner, you can have 2 commanders that both have partner. Fuck, I was having a stroke as I was looking at the card that's after the next card.
That one?
Yeah, I do know what that does. I'm gonna try my best.
Okay.
Plague Engineer, 2 and a black for a 2/2 creature carrier with Death Touch. As Plague Engineer enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type your opponents control get -1/-1. The lasting effects are invariably fatal. Phyrexian Progress Knocks. Okay, next up is this card that I have in here. And this is Command the Dreadhorde. It's a 4 and 2 black for a sorcery. Choose any number of target creature or planeswalker cards from graveyards and put them onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to their total combined converted mana cost. And then I don't have the flavor text. I don't know that from memory. I didn't know this card had flavor text.
Dreadhorde, go! That's what it says.
That's what it says. Yeah, that's all it says.
Go, Dreadhorde! I choose you.
Quote Nicol Bolas.
Yeah.
Rakshasa Debaser. 4 and 2 black for a 6/6 creature cat demon. When Rakshasa Debaser attacks, put target creature card from the defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Encore for 6 and 2 black. Pay 6 and 2 black. Exile this card from your graveyard. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn. If able, they gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. Oh, fuck. I did it again.
Uh-oh.
This card's called Dreadhorde Command. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and you amass 1. To amass, put a +1/+1 counter on an army creature you control. If you control no armies, create a 0/0 zombie army token and put a +1/+1 counter on it.
Great job, Dreadhorde. Take this hyper potion. That's the flavor text.
Yeah. Next up is Sword Point Diplomacy. 2 and a black for a sorcery. Reveal the top 3 cards of your library. For each of those cards, put that card into your hand unless an opponent pays 3 life. Then exile the rest. Take my blood if you want, just don't take my gold. That's needed for any zombie decks. Well, it won't make additional zombies. It'll only make 1 big zombie token. So it's no Bitter Blossom, but it's a good one. It works for it'll give you an army every turn. Especially if you have like a sacrifice theme, it's great for that. Draugr Necromancer, 3 and a blue for a 4/4 snow creature zombie cleric. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile that card with an ice counter on it instead. You may cast spells from among cards and you exile your opponent's own with ice counters on them. And you may spend mana from snow sources as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. Next up is Thoughtseize. What? Oh.
Gorilla Grip.
that joke right there made up for multiple years of being tormented by the card Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize, 1 black for a sorcery. Target player reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. You lose 2 life. Knowledge is such a burden. Release it. Release all your fears to me. Ashiok, Nightmare Wielder or Weaver.
I like that.
Thoughtseize. Rise of the Dreadmarn, 2 and a black for an instant. Create X/2/2 black zombie berserker creature tokens, where X is the number of non-token creatures that died this turn. You can foretell for a black. During your turn, you may pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down. Cast it on a later turn for its foretell cost. And then next up, I got another flip card. This is Nightmare Moon. It's 4 and 2 black for a 6/6 legendary creature Alicorn with flying. As long as it's nighttime, Nightmare Moon gets +2/+2 and has menace. You can pay 6. To transform Nightmare Moon, any pony may activate this ability or help pay the cost when they do. They become your friend. The night will last forever.
Thank you for saying every pony.
That's what it says on the card.
Thank you for saying every pony.
And it says any pony. And on the back of this flip card is Princess Luna, which is a 4/4 legendary creature alicorn with flying. Whenever this creature transforms into Princess Luna, choose up to 6 cards you own from outside the game with a moon in their art. Then exile those cards. As long as those cards remain exiled, you may cast them, and your friends may cast them with your permission. And then in quotation marks, it says, gifts are appreciated.
Does that mean that you can get damnation with that?
No, Damnation doesn't have a moon on it.
What about Blood Moon?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I would get Blood Moon with it. Blood Moon does, in fact, have a moon on it. It's a real card. I bought it from the Wizards at Hasbro. It came in a box set with a Twilight Sparkle card and a Rarity card. And the Rarity card was super ugly. Do you have the one that allows you to use an actual pony toy? Yeah, I think that's Rarity. Yeah, Rarity lets you use... Rarity has like abilities that feature with My Little Pony toys, where like you can pay like 1 mana and give Rarity protection of a color of like a My Little Pony toy that you have on you right now.
I like that.
And then the next 3 cards are like exactly the same. They're the same card, but they're different arcs. Here, I'll show you.
A real card with real American dollars.
So this is Inkai's Servant of Oni, which is a 3 and 2 black for a... or is it 6? Yeah, it's 6. 4 and 2 black for a legendary creature Rat Ninja. That is it's a 5/4, right? Yeah, 5/4. With Ninjutsu 3 and 2 black. Whenever Inkai's Servant of Oni deals combat damage to a player, you may put target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battle under your control. You can pay 2 mana to regenerate Inkai's.
Isn't that the porn one?
This is one of the porn ones. It's my favorite. It's my favorite porn one out of all of them. But if I had to pick which magic character to dom me, I want it to be Inkai's.
What about Jaina Proudmoore?
Do you mean like Chandra or do you mean Chase?
Yes.
Yes.
Chandra is the one with the fire hair, right?
Yes.
That's hot.
Her hair isn't actually fire. Her hair is just usually on fire.
What about the goth titty girlfriend?
Liliana?
Yeah, Liliana.
She's like 200.
That's fine. That means she knows what she's doing.
Hey, Hachi, could you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Could you get me like a small piece of like toilet paper or something with like some rubbing alcohol on it?
Yeah, I can do that.
Do I have my bubble rubbing alcohol?
No, I spilled it.
There's a bottle here.
She's legend.
Right.
I have this annoying spot. I have a feeling if I can just make sure it's clean with the because I'm sweating a bit and I feel like this heat. Oh, I know it's gonna hurt me.
I give you the
That's
heavy
the point.
shit.
91%.
Yeah.
The
good stuff.
50% from this morning didn't hurt like at all. So
Here we go. Live on stream. Don't try this at home, kids.
oh no, it stings. Ah,
Disgusting.
disgusting. All right. Next up is Crippling Fear.
Real.
2 and 2 black for a sorcery. Choose a creature type. Creatures that aren't of the chosen type get -3/-3 until end of turn. Panic spread like wildfire as the demons of Immerstrom poured onto Bredegar, slaughtering as they came. Nay,
That's
the
awful.
Phyrexians are the hottest. I disagree. Next up is Rat Colony. I got this from the Secret Lair Year of the Rat package. It's 1 and a black for a 2/1 creature rat. Rat Colony gets +1/+0 for each other rat you control. A deck can have any number of cards named Rat Colony. No matter how crowded the den, everyone's welcome to squeak in for the festivities.
Ooh.
It was from the Rat. Year of the Rat last year.
Was that last? Yeah.
Next up I have Dance of the Dead. 1 and a black for enchant dead creature. Take target creature from any graveyard and put it directly into play under your control. Tapped with +1/+1. Treat that creature as though it were just summoned. The creature does not untap during its controller's untap phase. At the end of his or her upkeep, its controller may pay an additional 1 and a black to untap it. If Dance of the Dead is removed, bury the creature in its owner's graveyard. Next page. Zat's Will. 4 and a black for an instant.
Wait, I want to do the Dance of the Dead.
They just went limp in the chair. 4 and a black for an instant.
Did it.
Choose it. You did it. You did a good job. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast a spell, you may choose both. Each opponent sacrifices a creature they control with the greatest power. Exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards and create X01 black thrall creature tokens, where X is the greatest power among creatures exiled this way. Next up, Skimfar Avenger. 1 and a black for a 3/1 creature elf berserker. Whenever another non-token elf or berserker you control dies, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Stripped of the divinity, the elves of Skimfar channeled their rage and sorrow into bloody brutality. Next up is Braids, Cabal minion. 2 and 2 black for a 2/2 legendary creature human minion. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact creature or land. Home is where you can find a decent graveyard and strangers can disappear without awkward questions. Yeah, I get that. Everyone thinks Elish Norn is hot in a scary monster type of way.
Isn't a Cenobite from the Pinhead?
Yeah, but it's also a phrase that means words.
Oh.
Like, it's not like it's not fucking... I don't think Pinhead coined that term, or...
Who you call him, Pinhead?
Hellraiser, I mean. Braids is a card that is a casualty of the commander banning board, whatever it's called. Because there used to be 2 ban lists for commander. It used to be cards that were banned as a commander and cards that were banned in the deck, but you could play them as a commander.
Commander.
So Braids was banned as a commander, but you could still play her in commander. But then they merged the 2 lists, and now there's like all this rhetoric. You gotta unban Braids, and Braids is it's like this one rhetoric that's you can ban Braids in commander, but you can't ban her in my heart. And I think Braids should be unbanned. Braids would be really fun. It's a super scary stacks commander. Next up, I don't know why this is still in my binder. Nixithid, 1 and 2 black for a 7/7 creature elemental. As Nixithid enters the battlefield, choose an opponent. Nixithid gets -1/-1 for each card in that player's hand. Born of volcanic forces, it thrives on the absolute panic it inspires. Court of Ambition. 2 and 2 black for an enchantment. When Court of Ambition enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card. If you're the monarch, instead, each opponent loses 6 life unless they discard 2 cards.
Oh.
Next up, the flavor text is watch your step. Next up is Liliana's Contract. 3 and 2 black for an enchantment. When Liliana's Contract enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and you lose 4 life. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. Immortality is worth any price. Next up, Blood on the Snow. 4 and 2 black for a snow sorcery. Choose
Blood
one.
on the blow.
Choose one. Destroy all creatures, or destroy all planeswalkers. Then return a creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of snow spent to cast the spell. Snow mana is mana from a snow source. Next up, Endling. 2 and 2 black for a 3/3 creature zombie spell shapeshifter. You can pay 1 black and to have Endling gain menace until end of turn. You can pay 1 black to have Endling gain death touch until end of turn. You can pay 1 black to have Endling gain undying until end of turn. When this creature dies, if it has no +1/+1 counters on it, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. You can pay 1 generic mana. Endling gets +1/-1 or -1/+1 until end of turn. Ooh. Blood on the snow floor. The Haunt of Hightower. 4 and 2 black for a 3/3 legendary creature vampire. With flying and lifelink. Whenever the Haunt of Hightower attacks, defending player discards a card. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on the Haunt of Hightower.
I like that one from Magic the Gathering Arena Online.
It drains vitality from those it touches.
Me too.
Next up is Necropotence. 3 black for an enchantment. Skip your draw step. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. You can pay 1 life to exile the top card of your library face down. Put that card into your hand at the beginning of your next end step. Plague Reaver, 2 and a black for a 6/5 creature beast. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice each other creature you control. Discard 2 cards. Sacrifice Plague Reaver. Choose target opponent. Return Plague Reaver to the battlefield under that player's control at the beginning of their next upkeep. That's a weird card. Anyway, Egon, God of Death. 2 and a black for a 6/6 legendary creature god with Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile 2 cards from your graveyard. If you can't, sacrifice Egon and draw a card. And then on the flip side is, for 1 mana, legendary artifact, Throne of Death. At the beginning of your upkeep, mill a card. You can pay 2 and a black and tap it to exile a creature card from your graveyard to draw a card.
My son, when you were born, the forest of Lordaeron echoed.
Next up is Inquisition of Kozilek. 1 black for a sorcery. Target player reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it. With converted mana cost 3 or less, that player discards that card. You will scream out your innermost secrets just to make it stop.
I don't know what's going on there.
It's a vampire that's enthralled biting.
Biting.
Biting another vampire.
Oh.
But this is the being bitten's head.
Oh.
This card is really good in Modern. Also, versions of this card in Spanish are worth like 50 times more. They're like, this card's probably like $10 right now. The Spanish card's probably like 80 or 90.
Why?
You don't expect the Spanish Inquisition. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm being 100% serious. This card's significantly more expensive.
This feels racist.
There's another one like that. There's a card called Wild Nicodle. It's a 1 mana 1/1 cat warrior. It gets +1/+1 if you have a mountain and +1/+1 if you have a plains. But Wild Nicodle in German was translated to Wilder Nicodle. So everyone really wants the German versions, and they're worth like 3 times as much.
Oh my god, that one's more wholesome.
Yeah. Next up is the Midnight Reaper. 2 and a black for a 3/3 creature zombie knight. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Midnight Reaper deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. No one welcomes his visit, yet all must grant him tribute. Next up is Demonic Tutor. 1 and a black for a sorcery. Search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand and shuffle your library. This card is $40.
How do I demons?
Beware the generosity of demons. Next up.
What do I get for numbered demons?
Turgid, God of Fright.
Oh.
30 and 2 black for a 4/5 legendary creature god with menace. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Fear is her one-true commune. No, the actual card is Turgid, but Turgid, like.
It's valid.
What if I didn't see that second R? It's also a flip card. So on the back side it says Turgid's Lantern. 3 and a black for a legendary artifact. Target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or a discarded card. 3 and a 4. You can pay 3 and a black to untap it.
Untap that shit.
Whenever Turgid was a child, her shadow tried to kill her. Only her lantern keeps it at bay. If I was going to make a mono black deck, I'd want to make Ink Eyes again, because I love Ink Eyes. Ink Eyes is like one of the only like female characters in Magic. Well, there's a few, but the art on Ink Eyes, all 3 of the different arts, her titties are like always out, like in the front. Like look at that. This is the original art that came out like early 2000. This is the promo that came out later that year, and this is the promo that came out last year.
So much titty.
Yeah.
It's all titty.
There's no clothes. All titty. Next up, Burning Rune Demon. 4 and 2 black for a 6/6 creature demon berserker. Why does it not allow the word tits? It's gotta be out. Thank you. Pineapple Jane. Next up, Burning Rune Demon. With 6/6 with flying. Whenever Burning Rune Demon enters the battlefield, you may search your library for exactly 2 cards not named Burning Rune Demon that have different names. If you do, reveal those cards. An opponent chooses one of them. Put the chosen card into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Then shuffle your library. Skynick subscribed.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Thank you so much, Skynex. I'm actually planning on doing Jackbox in the morning this week. I found my PlayStation again. I just need to find the cable.
Are you talking about the HD, the power cable?
Yeah, for my PlayStation 4.
Alright.
And if you want, you should mod Fluffy Cryptid for me.
Yeah, I can do that.
I always forget to do shit like that.
Can I do that? No, I think I have to do this from your side. Like I can't. I keep running into this problem before where I couldn't mod
Purge.
Don't
Purge.
ban.
Purge. Oh, let's see. Oh, will it let me? It will let me do literally everything else except mod you.
Okay.
I've tried it
Does it
before
let me
too.
change
I don't
your
know.
name?
You have to do it from like your account or something.
Yeah.
You have to go to the Twitch.
If you want, you could try pulling it up on my side of that computer
Yeah, that's what I'll
and
do.
then just go into Twitch. Yeah, I know. I absolutely. Oh, yeah. I'm planning on doing it in the morning. I do in the morning streams mostly for my channel, so hopefully
Do you want to do it like tomorrow at like 11ish maybe?
we could try more midday. Anyway, where was I? An opponent chooses one of them. I read that. Okay. Eradicator Valkyrie, 2 and 2 black for a 4/3 creature angel berserker, with flying, lifelink, and hexproof from planeswalkers. With Boast, you can pay 2 and sacrifice a creature. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Activate this ability only if this creature attacked this turn and only once each turn.
Oh,
Alright, next page.
just supposed to show you.
Yep. It
Ne-
was we just
nice.
bought them.
Next up is Agadeem's Awakening. X and 3 black for a sorcery. Return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that each have a different converted mana cost X or less. Now is the death hour, just before dawn. Wake sleepers and haunt the living. Vias, Witch Vessel. And then on the back side, it's Agadeem the Undercrypt. Land. As Agadeem the Undercrypt enters the battlefield, you may pay 3 life. If you don't, it enters the battlefield tapped. Tap, add a black. Here below the Hedron Field, souls and secrets lie entombed. Vivias, Witch Vessel. Speaking of which, I haven't been at a lot of streams recently because I wanted to catch up on sleep after so many late nights of the Minecraft. That's super. That's super fair. Yeah.
It's so late for you. It's late for us.
I get off of work and I'm like, I'm gonna catch the Minecraft stream, and I see Yuri's not live anymore. I'm like, well, I'm going to bed. Fuck this shit. Not doing Minecraft on my time. I should be sleeping.
Yeah, but that's allowed.
Yeah, it's definitely allowed. We thank you for being sorry about it in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like, that's so humbling.
I keep going back to your bedroom.
Or is that the correct thing to say? What I said?
Was it?
I don't know. Vibe.
5.
Mind Rack Demon, 2 and 2 black for a 4/5 creature demon with flying and trample. When Mind Rack Demon enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. Delirium. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 4 life unless there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Next up, Chainer's Edict. 1 and a black for a sorcery. Target player sacrifices a creature. With flashback, 5 and 2 black. You may play this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost and then remove it from the game. The pits have their own form of mercy. Look at that art.
Chainer's Edict. Edict on point.
That's some old school MCG
Yeah.
shit.
Okay, next one. Extinction Event.
I gotta look up who that painter is.
3 and a black. Their name is Ben Thompson.
Ben Thompson. Oh, I've heard that name before.
Extinction Event. 3 and a black for a sorcery. Choose odd or even. Exile each creature when converted mana cost of the chosen value. And then in parentheses it says 0 is even. Nature is more merciless than any hunter I've ever known. Zai, Night Squad Captain. Alright, here I got Varagoth, Blood Sky Squire, or Sire. Oh yes, I want Digimon cards. I want. There's only like 1 horny Digimon.
Yeah, but you know her anywhere.
I know her anywhere. Is two in a red for 2 in a black for a 2/3 legendary creature demon rogue with death touch. Boast. Pay 1 in a black. Target player shuffles their library, searches their library for a card, then shuffles their library and puts that card on top of it. Activate this ability only if a creature attacked this turn and only once each turn. I waded through a river of fire to bring death to the Bredagard. Next up, Infernal Reckoning. 1 black for an instant. Exile 7th to 8th of July, 2018. Instant. Exile target colorless creature. You gain life equal to its power. When these intruders are gone, Zendikar will be my throne, my palace, my playground. Next up, Fraying Omnipotence. 3 and 2 black for a sorcery. Each player loses half their life, then discards half the cards in their hand, then sacrifices half the creatures they control, round up each time.
Oh, it's the Thanos.
Yeah. The great mending that healed the multiverse also unraveled the threads of Nicol Bolas's power.
They really did do an Avengers thing simultaneously with Marvel, didn't they?
This card did come out in 2018.
Yep.
I don't know
Yeah.
when. Yeah. I don't remember when.
Fine. I'll do it myself. Do you think the Nicol Bolas can snap with his weird claws?
No, because he has weird claws.
It's the only reason.
Yeah. Next up is Phylactery Lich. 3 black for a 5/5 creature zombie with indestructible. As Phylactery Lich enters the battlefield, put a Phylactery counter on an artifact you control. When you control no permanents with Phylactery counters on them, sacrifice Phylactery Lich. Next up, Collective Brutality.
Nicholas Bolas sucks.
He uses his full name, so he knows he's in trouble.
Nicholas Francis Bolas.
Next up, Collective Brutality. 1 in a black for a sorcery with Escalate. Discard a card. Pay this cost for each mode chosen beyond the first. Choose 1 or more. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose an instant or sorcery card from it. That player discards that card. Or target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Or target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. This was a really good card. Oh, Phylactery. That's not a magic question, so I'm going to dismiss this.
Come back with more knowledge.
No, a Phylactery is what, in D&D terms, a lich. It's the device that a lich stores their soul in to become immortal. But in real life, it's some fucking Jewish thing.
It's the Tom Riddle diary.
Yeah, and what is the actual controversy with that? I remember.
And the Phylactery is like an actual from what I understand, like an actual part of the religious practice. Which is why it's not the greatest.
A small leather box containing Hebrew text on vellum worn by Jewish men at morning prayer as a reminder to keep the law.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a fucking Bible.
Yeah, it's like a little Bible. That's why it's not good that they use it.
Yeah. Why do they... Well, I mean, this is probably...
Fantasy world.
Yeah.
You know who lives in the... I stopped myself. There's no good place I could have gone, even if it was only a joke. That's the end of the black chapter. So next up is chapter 4, red. I will consume another peep.
1 peep for blood sugar.
Yeah, 1 peep for blood sugar.
Oh, isn't there groceries? I can eat something.
There's some.
Okay.
I gave you a bag full of Takis flavored meat sticks.
Yeah.
Is that not good enough for you?
Yeah, they tasted nothing like Takis.
What do they taste like?
Like crumbly Slim Jims.
Disgusting.
What I was actually saying is there's some Doritos over there.
Oh. I think I'll do that, but not on stream.
Why not?
Oh, I actually got
Disgusting.
Should we do the 100 peeps challenge?
You have to put 100 peeps in your mouth at the same time without swallowing.
No. You only have to have 100 peeps in your body.
Well, I could do that.
It's kept intentionally vague.
Give me half a warning. Yeah, like that's not a challenge.
First up, for red. Everything's itchy. I hope I'm not dying. I hope this thing on the back of my neck is just like a rash and not like some alien virus that's gonna kill me.
Would you like to support Lykios so he can get medical care?
The COVID's coming in through the back.
Yeah.
I'm not fishing
The
this
COVID
time.
started hitting it from the back. It lands.
Okay, first up is Quakebringer. It's 3 and 2 red for a 5/4 creature giant berserker. It says your opponents can't gain life. At the beginning of your upkeep, Quakebringer deals 2 damage to each opponent. This ability triggers only if Quakebringer is on the battlefield or if Quakebringer is in your graveyard and you control a giant. Foretale 2 and 2 red. Next up, Surtland Flinger. 3 and 2 red for a 4/6 creature giant berserker. Whenever Surtland Flinger attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Surtland Flinger deals combat damage to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. If the sacrificed creature was a giant, Surtland Flinger deals twice that much damage instead. Next up is Treasure Nabber. 2 and a red for a 3/2 creature goblin rogue. Whenever an opponent taps an artifact for mana, gain control of that artifact until the end of your next turn. The law of givesies backsies is respected by every noble pursuer of shiny things.
Mm-hmm.
And the fun part about this card is this goblin is in fact holding a soul ring in the art, which is like the quintessential like artifact in Commander.
Oh yeah, that's where you keep your soul.
Yeah.
When you start playing Magic the Gathering. That's where you store your power.
Next up is Stranglehold. 3 and a red for an enchantment. Your opponents can't search libraries. If an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead.
It comes.
The correct answer to a barbarian's riddle is to choke on your cleverness and die. Chandra, Torch of Defiance. 2 and 2 red for a 4 loyalty planeswalker Chandra. Exile the top card. You can +1 her to exile the top card of your library. You may cast that card. If you don't, Chandra, Torch of Defiance deals 2 damage to each opponent. You can +1 her also to add 2 red to your mana pool. You can -3 her to have Chandra, Torch of Defiance deal 4 damage to target creature. You can -7 her to get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell. This emblem deals 5 damage to target creature or player. At the beginning of each chapter, I start not breathing enough, and I start going like that, and trying to get through the card I'm like currently on.
You're allowed to stop whenever you want.
Yeah, but I'm in the middle of a
Take a
sentence.
breath.
Yeah, that's the only issue. Next up.
Do you know how to talk inwards?
No.
And then you go like this.
Oh, disgusting.
Actually, you know how to talk like that?
Yeah, you just have to do that in the middle.
In the
of
middle?
The sentence. Just start breathing in. And you can talk forever.
Next up is Ironcrag Feet. 1 and 3 red for a sorcery. It says add 7 red mana. You can cast only 1 more spell this turn. The greatest challenge isn't the stifling heat, but the crushing weight of those who failed before. You can whistle in. That's me
I
trying to
can't
whistle
do
in.
that. Is that coming up on the stream? Can you hear that?
The bar's going up. Yeah, like
It
that.
might. I think it goes up regardless, unless you.
Next up is Cadiz, Emberclaw Familiar. 1 and a red for a 1/1 legendary creature elemental lizard. What's happening
What's
here?
happening here? Nice.
Whenever a commander you control deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent. It has Partner. You can have 2 commanders if both have Partner. Cadiz loves molten metal, searing flames, and head scratches.
This is Doc bullying.
Here's Cadiz. The card's too shiny. Next up, I have. I crushed my balls with my binder of magic cards. Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh. 1 and 2 red for a legendary creature, Human Shaman. For a 2/2 legendary creature, Human Shaman. Whenever you cast a red spell, untap Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh. You can also tap Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh. You can tap her to have her deal 1 damage to target player. If Chandra has dealt 3 or more damage this turn, exile her. Then return her to the battlefield transformed, under her owner's control. Chandra, Roaring Flame, 4 loyalty. You can +1, for a Planeswalker, Chandra. +1 Chandra, Roaring Flame, +1. Chandra Roaring Flame deals 2 damage to target player. -2. Chandra Roaring Flame deals 2 damage to target creature. -7. Chandra Roaring Flame deals 6 damage to each opponent. Each player dealt damage this way gets an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep. This emblem deals 3 damage to you. So that's from the set where they had the Planeswalkers start off as creatures, and they have stuff, and then they flip, and then when they come back down, they're Planeswalkers.
That's cool.
It is a cool effect. Next up,
It's like a magical girl transformation.
yeah, exactly. Next up is Port Raiser. 3 and 2 red for a 4/4 creature orc pirate.
That's it only shapes the right side of your face.
Whenever Port Raiser deals combat damage to a player, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there is an additional combat phase. Port Raiser can attack a player it has already attacked this turn. Smash and grab, loot and burn. Then it is the next town's turn.
Oops.
Next up, Valakut Exploration. 2 and a red for an enchantment. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. At the beginning of your end step, if there are cards exiled with Valakut Exploration, put them into their owner's graveyard. Then Valakut Exploration deals that much damage to each opponent. Next up, Jessica's Will. 2 and a red for a sorcery. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast the spell, you may choose both.
Who's Jessica?
Jessica. Jessica is she in here somewhere? I have the Planeswalker card. Yeah, I have her. She is Kamal's sister who dies like 3 times. Remember earlier how we were talking about Phage?
Oh, Jessica.
Yeah,
Oh,
Jessica.
Okay.
You remember?
They spell everything weird and wrong.
Yeah. Do you remember Phage from earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, Jessica is Phage.
Oh.
That's one of her like 3 lives. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast a spell, you may choose both. Add red for each card in target opponent's hand. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. Gather your strength. Prepare yourself. Jessica Tarada.
Is this just the one from Marvel that eats planets?
No. Who do you mean, Rada?
No. The Silver Surfer one. The Cosmo Man.
Why? Because of the art?
Yeah.
No,
That's
it's just
what it looks like.
magic.
It looks like the big worm from the Silver Surfer movie.
I can see that one. Next up, Court of Ire. 3 and 2 red for an enchantment. When Court of Ire enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, Court of Ire deals 2 damage to any target. If you're the monarch, it deals 7 damage to that player permanent instead. Hold your tongue, lest you burn it. Next up, Tybalt's Trickery. 1 and a red for an instant. Counter target spell. Choose 1, 2, or 3 at random. Its controller mills that many cards. Then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card with a different name than that spell. They may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then they put the exiled cards in the bottom of their library in a random order. You go play. OMG, Jessica, gonna go play some Minecraft. Have fun being a nerd.
Yeah.
Next up is Bergi, God of Storytelling. 2 and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature god. Whenever you cast a spell, add 1 red. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases in. Creatures you control can boast twice during each of your turns rather than once. This is a tale to make all Kaldheim tremble. On the other side is Harnfell, Horn of Bounty. 4 and a red for a legendary artifact. Lets you discard a card to exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. Like her Well of Stories, Bergi's Horn never runs dry. Next up is Arnie Brokenbrow. 2 and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature, human berserker with haste. Boast. You can pay 1. You may change Arnie Brokenbrow's base power to 1 plus the greatest power among other creatures you control until end of turn. Aurora Phoenix. 4 and 2 red for a 5/3 creature phoenix with flying and cascade. When you cast a spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exiled cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever you cast a spell with Cascade, return Aurora Phoenix from your graveyard to your hand. Oh.
I like how they just copied the art for Ashes of Alar from World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, that's what phoenixes look like.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's what every phoenix looks like.
The most accurate Phoenix was in Super Mario Sunshine.
I don't know which one you're talking about, but you said Super Mario, and I imagined the sun from Super Mario Bros. 3.
Yeah, that's the Phoenix.
Yeah. Sarkhan the Masterless. 3 and 2 red for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker Sarkhan. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, each dragon you control deals 1 damage to that creature. Until end of turn, each planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 red dragon creature and gains flying. Create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. Next up is Calamity Bearer. 2 and 2 red for a 3/4 for a creature giant berserker. If a giant source you control will deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead.
Calamity Bear.
It's a 4-mana 6/4.
Watch out, Calamity Twinks.
Next up, Robber of the Rich. 1 and a red for a 2/2 creature human archer rogue with reach and haste. When Robber of the Rich attacks, if defending player has more cards in hand than you, exile the top card of their library. During any turns you attack with a rogue, you may cast that card and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. Next up, Torolf, God of Fury. 2 and 2 red for a 5/4 legendary creature god with trample. Whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, Torolf deals damage equal to the excess to any target other than that permanent. And on the other side, it's a 2-mana Torolf's Hammer. 1 and a red for a legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has 1 and a red. Tap unattached Torolf's Hammer. It deals 3 damage to any target. Return Torolf's Hammer to its owner's hand. Equipped creature gets +3/+0 as long as it's legendary. Equipped 1 and 3. That's our Thor replacement. Calamity Bear is Ganon in Breath of the Wild. Next up is Magmatic Channeler.
Whoa, Magmatic.
1 and a red for a 1/3 creature human wizard. As long as there are 4 or more instant and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, Magmatic Channeler gets +3/+1. You can tap it to discard a card and exile the top 2 cards of your library, then choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. Next up is Coercive Recruiter. 4 and a red for a 4/3 creature orc pirate. When Coercive Recruiter or another pirate enters the battlefield under your control, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. Until end of turn, it gains haste and becomes a pirate in addition to its other types. Next up, Luca, Coppercoat Outcast. 3 and 2 red for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker, Luca. You can +1 Luca to exile the top 3 cards of your library. Creature cards exiled this way you may cast this card from exile as long as you control a Luca planeswalker. Exile target creature you control, then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card with higher converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library. Each creature you control deals damage -7. Each creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Next up, Mythos of Vadrak. 2 and 2 red for a sorcery. Mythos of Vadrak deals 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers. If white and blue is spent to cast the spell until your next turn, those permanents can't attack or block and their activated abilities can't be activated. Next up, Soulfire Eruption. 6 and 3 red for a sorcery. Choose any number of target creatures, planeswalkers, and/or players. For each of them, exile the top card of your library, then Soulfire Eruption deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to that permanent or player. You may play the exiled cards until the end of your next turn. Forsake flesh, choose fire. Next up is Red Sun Zenith for X and a red, a sorcery. Red Sun Zenith deals X damage to target creature or player. If a creature dealt damage this way would be put into a graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Shuffle Red Sun Zenith into its owner's library. Next up, Storm's Wrath. 2 and 2 red for a sorcery. Storm's Wrath deals 4 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Distance Thunder Rumble. A dread forewarning of Kyrios' displeasure. Now, Bone Crusher Giant. 2 and a red for a 4/3 creature giant with an adventure. Stomp. 1 and a red for an instant. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Stomp deals 2 damage to any target. And then the text for Bone Crusher Giant is, whenever Bone Crusher Giant becomes the target of a spell, Bone Crusher Giant deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. Not every tale ends in glory. Here we go. Crack the Thumbless. Crack the Thumbless. 1 and a red for a 2/2 legendary creature, Goblin Wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, return that spell to its owner's hand. If you win the flip, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. Partner. You can have 2 commanders if both have partner, and the flavor text is double or nothing. So the lore behind Crack is Crack lost his thumb in a bet, and then this is his first card. But before that, there was a card called Crack's Thumb, which was just a 2-mana artifact that said if you would flip a coin, instead flip 2 coins and choose which one you keep.
Oh, nice.
So he pairs fairly well with that. Next up is Bonfire of the Damned. X and a red for a sorcery. Bonfire of the Damned deals X damage to target player and each creature he or she controls. Miracle, X and a red. You may cast this card for its miracle cost when you draw it if it's the first card you drew this turn. Chaos Warp, 2 and a red for an instant. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into the library and then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. Now, Jessica, Thrice Reborn, 2 and a red for a 0 loyalty planeswalker. Jessica, Thrice Reborn, enters the battlefield with a loyalty counter on it for each time you cast a commander from the command zone this game. You can pay 0, choose target creature until your next turn. If that creature would deal combat damage to one of your opponents, it deals triple that damage to that player instead. Minus X. Jessica, Thrice Reborn deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets. Jessica, Thrice Reborn can be your commander and has partner. Next up, Insurrection. 5 and 3 red for a sorcery. Untap all creatures and gain control of them until end of turn. They gain haste until end of turn. Maybe they wanted to be on the winning side for once. Matic, Lavamancer. Morog, Fury of Akum. 4 and 2 red for a 6/6 legendary creature, Minotaur Warrior.
I can't believe you would come there.
Each creature you control gets +1/+0 for each time it has attacked this turn. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control.
Sorry, Jimbo. I'm sending you to the command zone.
Next up is Magda, Brazen Outlaw. 2 mana for a 2/1 legendary creature, Dwarf Berserker. Other dwarfs you control get +1/+0. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. Sacrifice 5 treasures, search your library for an artifact or dragon card. Put that card onto the battlefield and shuffle your library.
That one's better than bronze.
Yeah. Next up, Alpine Moon. 1 and a red for an 1 red for an enchantment. As Alpine Moon enters the battlefield, choose a non-basic land card name. Lands your opponents control with the chosen name lose all land types and abilities, and they gain tap, add 1 mana of any color. A rare and fascinating phenomenon. Tameo.
That's one of the Nightmare Moon cards.
Yeah, you can fetch that up with Nightmare Moon. Next up, Shatterskull Charger. 1 and 2 red for a 4/3 creature, Giant Warrior with Kicker 2, Trample and Haste. If Shatterskull Charger is kicked, it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. At the beginning of your end step, if Shatterskull Charger doesn't have a +1/+1 counter on it, return it to its owner's hand. Next up, Volcanic Salvo. 10 and 2 red for a sorcery. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. Volcanic Salvo deals 6 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. Seeing it coming a mile away is little comfort if you can't get out of range in time. Next up, Chancellor of the Forge. 4 and 3 red for a 5/5 creature giant. You may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, at the beginning of the first upkeep, put a 1/1 red goblin creature token with haste onto the battlefield. When Chancellor of the Forge enters the battlefield, put X 1/1 red goblin creature tokens with haste onto the battlefield, where X is the number of creatures you control. Next up is Blood Moon. 2 and a red for an enchantment.
Oh, it's a special card.
Non-basic lands are mountains. Bathed in deep crimson, the land that once gave comfort and shelter now yielded nothing but hostility.
It's just like Minecraft.
And then the other one I have right here says heavy light flooded across the landscape, cloaking everything in deep crimson. This is like the OG classic Blood Moon art. This is the new fancy Blood Moon art. And this one's only cool because it's full art. That's literally the only reason it's cool.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. Next up, Leyline of Punishment.
Oh.
2 and 2 red for an enchantment. If Leyline of Punishment is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. Players can't gain life. Damage can't be prevented. And next up, there's another one of these cards that is like, I promised only the text on the card, and there's not that much text on this card. Lightning Bolt, 1 in a red. Lightning Bolt.
Lightning bolt.
Lightning Bolt.
That's 1 in a red, and it does 2 damage.
No.
Oh.
It does 3 damage.
Oh. That's shock.
Yeah, shock is 2 damage. I got that card for attending a Magic Fest.
What was it like?
It was a convention with a bunch of sweaty Magic players. I got to play Magic with people who were like really that were above my skill level, and then I got to play Magic with a group of like friends who were very much below my skill level. And both of those times it was sad.
Oh.
It wasn't fun. It was like, okay, I win the game. I'm sorry. It's only turn 4. and the people above me I played with them was like, okay, I end the game. It's really funny that it's turn 3. It's shit like that. Next up, Glorious End. 2 in a red for an instant. End the turn. Exile all spells and abilities on the stack, including this card. The player whose turn it is discards down to his or her maximum hand size, damage wears off, and this turn and until end of turn effects end. At the beginning of your next end step, you lose the game.
Oh my god.
Can't
lose if you've already won.
Valakut's Awakening. 2 in a red for an instant. Put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library. Then draw that many cards plus 1. My ancestors reshaped the world to their vision. I have a few ideas of my own. Tars, Olan, Stoneforge Mystic. And on the back it says Valakut Stormforge. Land. Valakut Stoneforge enters the battlefield tapped. Tap add for a red. I can hear the echoes of the hammers. Long stilled. Itali, Primal Storm. 4 and 2 red for a 6/6 legendary creature Elder Dinosaur. When Itali Primal Storm attacks, exile the top card of each player's library, then you may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. The storm rages and the earth breaks.
What if you name something Eternal Primal Soar and it's like now? It doesn't seem like very primal when you start.
Yeah.
Next, I heard you like Blood Moon. This is called Magus of the Moon. 2 in a red for a 2/2 creature human wizard. It says non-basic lands or mountains. Tidal forces of the Blood Moon wrench and buckle the land, drawing monoliths of stone and soil towards the flaming orb. Is the Blood Moon on fire? I don't...
It's like Starry Night.
Yeah. Chandra, Awakened Inferno. 4 and 2 red for a 6 loyalty legendary planeswalker Chandra. This spell can't be countered. +2. Each opponent gets an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, this emblem deals 1 damage to you.
Nice.
Warning, may contain wolves or egg.
Uh-oh.
Back to Digimon card for those around the Discord. Warning, may contain wolves or egg. Oh, you gotta show. You find it and show me. -3. Chandra Awakened Inferno deals 3 damage to each non-elemental creature. -X. Chandra Awakened Inferno deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If a permanent dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. And then right next to that, I have Chandra Pyromancer. 2 and 2 red for a 4 loyalty planeswalker Chandra. +1 Chandra Pyromancer deals 1 damage to target player and 1 damage to up to 1 target creature that player controls. That creature can't block this turn. You can 0 her to exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. And you can -7 her to exile the top 10 cards of your library. Choose an instant or sorcery card, exile this way. Copy it 3 times. You may cast the copies without paying their mana cost.
Okay, there's a lot.
Oh, interesting.
There's Tooth Puppy. There's Pikachu Ear. There's Mewtwo. There's Beard Cat. There's Gothita.
You don't have to say, like, you can scroll to the next image. I got it. I understand.
Okay. Ooh, shiny cards.
Mm. I just want to see the wolf.
Where's the wolf?
Bring us the wolf.
Oh, like it's the Be Not Afraid angel.
Hydrate time.
There's Titty Deathwing.
Titty Deathwing.
Titty Deathwing. You can't have a Titty Deathwing. It makes her less.
There's the wolf.
Garurumon.
Garurumon.
Where Garurumon?
Garurumon. There. Oh,
I like my Where Garurumon with titties. I'll say that very much.
Do they have that on E6?
They do. It's a good
Eggs.
there was a great like Wergarumon with a fat spade that I saw.
Digitamamon.
Eggmon. I've got 6 more cards for the red section, and they're all dragons. Terror of the Peaks.
This part my dragon.
3 and 2 red for a 5/4 creature dragon with flying. Spells your opponents cast the target Terror of the Peaks cost an additional 3 life to cast. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. Goldspan Dragon. 3 and 2 red for a 4/4 creature dragon, flying with haste. Whenever Goldspan Dragon attacks or becomes the target of a spell, create a creature token. Create a treasure token. Treasures you control have tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 2 mana of any one color. Thundermaw Hellkite. 3 and 2 red for a 5/5 creature dragon, flying haste. Whenever a Thundermaw Hellkite enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each creature with flying your opponent's control. Tap those creatures. Leyline Tyrant. 2 and 2 red for a 4/4 creature dragon with flying. Like Numemon is basically a green piece of shit with eyes. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. When Leyline Tyrant dies, you may pay an amount of red mana. When you do, it deals that much damage to any target. Next up, Nesting Dragon. 3 and 2 red for a 5/4 creature dragon with flying. And Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/2 red dragon egg creature token with Defender. And when this creature dies, create a 2/2 red dragon creature token with flying. And red, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Avaricious Dragon. 2 and 2 red for a 4/4 creature dragon. Flying. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. At the beginning of your end step, discard your hand. Waste follows want.
Look at Chumon.
What the fuck is that? What is Chumon?
It has 2 hairy testicles. This would be my Digimon.
You're the one you get assigned.
Yeah, you're assigned. You're
Assigned
government
Chumon at
assigned.
birth.
You have to show me Numemon.
I'm trying to find Numemon.
Chumon. Pride Sovereign. 2 and a green for a 2/2 creature cat. Pride Sovereign gets +1/+1 for each other cat you control.
Oh, here's Numemon.
You can pay white. Oh, I know Numemon. Yeah, now I didn't know its name, but I knew about it.
Slimermon.
There's one artist that draws like their Renamon get like sexually assaulted by smaller characters, and one of them was like getting like super heavy tongue kissed by a bunch of Numemon.
Duh.
But yeah, that's their thing is they draw big lips and big tongues. You can pay a white and tap Pride Sovereign to exert it, and create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. An exerted creature will untap during your next untap step. Next up, Sweet Gum Recluse. 4 and 2 green for a 0/3 creature spider with flash and cascade and reach. When Sweet Gum Recluse enters the battlefield, put 3 +1/+1 counters on each of any number of target creatures that enter the battlefield this turn. Next up, Bio Waste Blob. 2 and 2 green for a 0/0 creature Ooze. Oozes you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a commander, create a token that's a copy of Bio Waste Blob. Next up, Realm Walker. 2 and a green for a 2/3 creature shapeshifter with changeling. This card is every creature type. As Realm Walker enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You can cast creature spells of the chosen type from the top of your library. Chord of Calling. X and 3 green. Instant with Convoke. Each creature you tap while playing this spell reduces its cost by 1 or by 1 mana of that creature's color. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less and put it into play, and then shuffle your library. Mythos of Brachus. 2 and 2 green. If blue and black was meant to cast this spell, search your library for a card, put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle your library.
Oh, that's the one from the horny. That's what that's the thing you posted.
No, that's just how these cards are designed. But they're like cave drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the horny
like
chat, I posted horny cave drawings.
Yeah. Ooh, I like the next one.
Next one, Obscuring Haze.
Yeah.
Obscuring Haze, 2 and a green for an instant. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures your opponents control.
Everybody just chills.
Yeah. Whatever hunter or I have more art from the horny cave guy that I need to post, but it's like sharp tooths that have captured a bunch of humans.
Oh no.
No, they're like tied up and they're all like just around them. Whether hunter or hunted, Keppel chooses when it is seen. Next up, Hex Drinker. 1 green for a 2/1 creature snake with level up 1. Pay 1 to put a level counter on this. Level up only as a sorcery. When it has 3 to 7 level counters on it, it becomes a 4/4 with protection from instants. When it has 8 plus level counters on it, it becomes a 6/6 with protection from everything.
More like Sex Drinker.
Next up is Hachiko's Chariot. 3 and a green for a 4/4 legendary artifact vehicle. Whenever Hachiko's Chariot enters the battlefield, create 2/2/2 green cat creature tokens. Whenever Hachiko's Chariot attacks, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. Crew 4. I fucking hate this card because it makes cats instead of wolves, and I'm so fucking upset. I get it. Apex Devastator. 8 and 2 green for a 10/10 creature Chimera Hydra. Cascade. When you cast a spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exile cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. Multiple instances of Cascade, each trigger separately. Territorial Allosaurus. 2 and 2 green for a... Oh wait, I moved on to the green without eating a peep. Need to remedy this immediately. Oh my god.
Disgusting. Cascade.
Territorial Allosaurus. Didn't like that peep.
Peep. Hydrate.
You gotta watch the peep out. Okay. It's 2 and 2 green for a 5/5 creature dinosaur with kicker, 2 and a green. You may pay an additional 2 and a green as you cast a spell. When Territorial Allosaurus enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it fights another target creature. A living remnant of the Ice Age. Next up is Rootweaver Druid. 2 and a green for a 2/1 creature elf druid. When Rootweaver Druid enters the battlefield, each opponent may search their library for up to 3 basic land cards. Then put one of those cards onto the battlefield tapped under your control, and the rest onto the battlefield tapped under their control. Then each player who searched their library this way shuffles it. Next, Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. 2 and a green for a 2/3 creature human shaman. Tap. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells. Formidable. Pay 9 and 2 green and tap this. Each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. Activate this ability only if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater. I've fucking gotten people in like legitimate tournaments with that. I won one of when I was playing this card for the game day deck. I won my first game day with. I fucking got someone in the semifinals with this because they didn't read the rest of the card.
Magic the Gathering Arena online.
You have?
Yeah.
I didn't know this card was on Arena. It's from a long time ago.
It definitely sounds very familiar. I remember those conditions. It's like a Nen ability.
Next up, Champion of Ronus. 3 and a green for a 3/3 creature Jackal Warrior. You may exert Champion of Ronus as it attacks. When you do, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. An exerted creature will untap during your next untap step. The only way to finish the Trial of Strength is with a Basilisk Scale in hand. Old Growth Troll. 3 green for a 4/4 creature Troll Warrior. Trample. Whenever Old Growth Troll dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield. It's an aura enchantment with Enchant Forest. You control an enchanted forest as tap, add 2 green, and 1 tap, sacrifice this land, create a tapped 4/4 green Troll Warrior creature token with trample. Next up is Lotus Cobra. 1 and a green for a 2/1 creature snack. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any color. Alright, Heroic Intervention. 1 and a green for an instant. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Wherever the strong would harm the weak, I will be there. A Johnny Goldmane. Next, Mana Reflection. 4 and 2 green for an enchantment. If you tap a permanent for mana, it produces twice as much of that mana instead. The greatest wonders of nature are found in the smallest saplings straining towards the canopy. Next up, Tarmogoyf. 1 and a green for a star / +1/1 star creature Lahergoyf. Tarmogoyf's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in all graveyards, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. What doesn't grow dies, and what dies grows the Tarmogoyf. This card used to be $90.
Is it black sometimes and green other times?
No, it's always green.
Just colors.
Kamal, Fist of Krosa. 4 and 2 green for a 4/3 legendary creature human druid. You can pay 1 green to have target land become a 1/1 creature until end of turn. It's still a land. Creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. My mind has changed. My strength has not. Kamal used to be like a barbarian that fought in the pits in the arena. And then he's like, fuck it. And then his sister Jessica died. He's like, no. I think he killed her the first time.
No, Jessica!
Yeah. But he has a fun ability. His first ability says target land. It's not just lands you control. So if you have Kamal out and someone goes to board wipe, you can just turn all of their lands into creatures. And yeah. So it's like, this card's a fucking great board wipe deterrent.
You should make me a counter to your decks.
Yeah. And then watch you play them poorly.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up is Krosan Grip. The Fist of Krosa. Krosan Grip.
Oh.
I didn't do that on purpose.
Strong grip.
Krosan Grip. 2 and a green for an instant with split second.
Ooh.
As long as the spell is on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Give up these unnatural weapons, these scrolls. Heart and Mind or Fist are enough. Zid, Kamalite Druid. Interesting fact, you know how Morph works?
Yeah.
You can actually unmorph a creature in response to a split second. But that's like the only thing you can do. It's like literally just because of how weird stacking works in Magic. That's like the only thing you can do in response to a split second.
That's so weird.
Next up, Colossification. 5 and 2 green for a enchantment aura, enchant creature. You're not the ugly one.
Disgusting.
Enchanted creature gets +20/+20. It turns out the case of the flattened outpost and the case of the missing kitten were related. This is a good art. Get it? Colossification.
Because they lost a village. Is this loss?
This is loss. We have to go back, Kate. Scavenging Ooze. 1 and a green for a 2/2 creature ooze. Pay a green. Exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on Scavenging Ooze and you gain a life. In nature, not a single bone or scrap of flesh goes to waste. But I actually saw like the close-up of this card. I thought it was just like an ooze with like tendrils in the back, but no, it's an alligator. And it's eating.
Oh.
Yeah. The thing on this part of the card is not its body, it's just an alligator it's consuming.
What was the thing you said that was funny?
Which one?
It was on the card. Let me look again.
Exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on
Oh, you
Scavenging
said
Ooze.
boner scrap.
Not a single boner scrap. Next up is Allurin. 2 and 2 green for an enchantment. Any player may play a creature card with total casting cost 3 or less whenever he or she could play an instant, and without paying its casting cost. Squee bounced up and down. I sees a horsey and a piggy and a. If you don't shut up, hissed Mary, you'll see a kidney and a spleeny. Okay. Galta, Primal Hunger. 10 and 2 green, legendary creature, for a 12/12, legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. Galta Primal Hunger costs X less to cast, or X is the total power of creatures you control. Trample, the earth walks, strongest of all. Next up, Jorn, God of Winter. 2 and a green for a 3/3 legendary snow creature, God. Whenever Jorn attacks, untap each snow permanent you control. Wherever snow falls, I am home. On the back, it's Cauldring, the Rhyme Staff. Cauldring, the Rim Staff. One black and a blue for a legendary snow artifact. Tap. You may place target snow permanent card from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters the battlefield tapped. As the sagas tell it, Jorn collects a sliver of ice from every realm he visits. Next up, Dawnglade Regen, which I should put in Yuri's deck. 7 mana for an 8/8 creature elk. Whenever Dawnglade Regen enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. As long as you're the monarch, permanents you control have hexproof. Every creature in the glade paused and stared, overcome. I bowed to the beast. Indral, Colonian, Naturalist.
I can be the queen.
Oh my god, I've got so much left. Okay, yeah, I gotta speed this up.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I need to...
I don't think anybody's gonna stop you from just being like, okay, we're done.
That's a good point. Okay. Tit-Anya, Protector of Argoth. 3 and 2 green for a 5/3 legendary creature elemental. Whenever Titania, Protector of Argoth, enters the battlefield, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Whenever a land enters you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. Next up, Nightpack Ambusher. 2 and 2 green for a 4/4 creature wolf. Flash. Other wolves and werewolves you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't cast a spell this turn, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. A strong leader means a growing pack. I'm just going to pick the interesting ones. Thrun the Last Troll. 2 and 2 green for a 4/4 legendary creature troll shaman. Thrun the Last Troll can't be countered. Thrun can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. 1 and a green. Regenerate Thrun. His crime was silence, and now he suffers it eternally. Next up, Doubling Season. 4 and a green for an enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. If an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent you control, it puts twice that many of those counters on that permanent instead. Next up, Food Chain. 2 and a green for an enchantment. Remove a creature you control from the game. Add X mana of any color to your mana pool, where X is the remove creatures for a mana cost +1. This mana may be spent only to play creature spells. Next up, Collected Company. 3 and a green for an instant. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. Put up the 2 creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Many can stand where 1 would fall. Bramble Sovereign. 2 and 2 green for a creature dryad. For a 4/4 creature dryad. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a green. If you do, that creature's controller creates a token that's a copy of that creature. Within this grove, you belong to me. Last 3 for green. Hall of Gemstone. 1 and 2 green for Enchant World. During each player's upkeep, that player chooses a color. Until end of turn, each mana-producing land produces mana of the chosen color instead of its normal color. So it's like Blood Moon but green. And you get to pick which color.
Chlorophyll Moon.
Chlorophyll Moon. Next up, Choke.
Wouldn't Chlorophyll Moon just be the sun?
2 and a green for an enchantment. Islands don't untap during their controller's untap step. One day we saw a walk where once was water.
There's that's an April Fool's card.
It absolutely is.
It's a joke.
Next up, Reshape the Earth. 6 and 3 green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 10 land cards. Can you put the AC on?
Yeah, you can do
It's
that.
getting hot. Put them onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. The land is not dead, merely dormant. It will awake if you know how to ask. Jelana, Caller of Wirewood. Alright, woo, I'm on to the home stretch. So I'm gonna eat the last peep, and then I'm only gonna read the interesting cards.
There you go. That's what I was gonna suggest. What if you only did the things you wanted to do? Hydrate.
Home stretch, okay.
Home stretch.
Anya, Merciless Angel. 3, a red and a white for a 4/4 legendary creature angel. Flying. Anya, Merciless Angel gets +3/+3 for each opponent whose life total is less than half his or her starting life total. As long as an opponent's life total is less than half of his or her starting life total, Anya has indestructible.
No stretch.
I don't have that stretchy word yet. I haven't set up a new one yet. I'm sorry. Serral, Realm Eater. 1, a black and a green for a 3/3 legendary creature wolf. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Serral, Realm Eater. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Serral has 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may remove all of them. If you do, exile each other non-land permanent with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of counters removed this way.
Now that's the wolf.
It is the wolf. Oko, Twink of Crowns. 1, a green and a blue for a 4 loyalty legendary planeswalker Oko. You can +2 Oko to create a food token. You can +1 Oko to have target artifact or creature lose all abilities and become a green elf creature with base power and toughness 3/3. You can -5 Oko. No, never -5 Oko. To exchange control of target artifact or creature you control and target creature and opponent controls with power 3 or less. That's it. Yoko was too good. Yoko got banned. Shaloon,
It'll be
Teller
too
of Tales.
powerful.
2, a green, a white, and a blue for a 2/4 legendary creature human druid. Vigilance. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, and then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. You can pay 3 and tap Shaloon to return target creature you control to its owner's hand. Manamorphose. 1 and a red-green hybrid mana.
Oh, I thought that was banana.
Banana. Banana from Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Add 2 mana of any combination of colors to your mana pool. Draw a card. Master the chaotic forces of nature, and you shall master magic. Yari Tiva, Warden of Gromir Forest. I read that one. Arlen Cord. 2, a red and a green for a 3 loyalty planeswalker Arlen. +1 until end of turn, up to 1 token creature gets +2/+2 and gains vigilance and haste. You can 0 Arlen to put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield. Transform Arlen Cord. Should I order food? Oh, I would do the steaks tomorrow. Sorry, I have to think about food. I might order something so we can do that and then we can stream like an actual video game. This is going long. I want to say it immediately. Arlen embraced by the moon, but I also want to live up to my promises.
What if we just did this? That was it.
But we should play something real.
This is something real. This is a stream.
This is a fucking stretch reward. And besides, I'm almost done.
It's a special occasion.
This is special.
Special occasion.
Doubt. Omnath, Locus of Creation, a red, a green, a blue, and a white for a 4/4 legendary creature elemental. When Omnath, Locus of Creation enters the battlefield, draw a card. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 4 life, and this is the first time this ability is resolved. If it's the second time, add a red, a green, a white, and a blue. If it's the third time, Omnath deals 4 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker you don't control. Serta, the Dawnbreaker, 1 and then 2 red-white hybrid mana for a 3/3 legendary creature, Elemental Fox. Companion, each permanent card in your starting deck has an activated ability. Abilities you activate that aren't mana abilities cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce their mana and that costs less than 1 mana. 1 tap, target creature can't block this turn. That's so you can have multiple copies of Serta in a deck. Corvold, Fake Cursed King. 2, a black, a red, and a green for a 4/4 legendary creature, Dragon Noble. Flying, whenever Corvold, Fake Cursed King enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrificing another permanent. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Corvold and draw a card. Transformed at his own wedding, he promptly ate the banquet, the gifts, and the guest.
Magic auction.
Magic Auction. Queen Marche... Oh wait, no, I got one before this, it's good. Grim Flare, it's one of my favorite cards of all time. A green and a black for a 2/2 creature human warrior with trample. Whenever a Grim Flare deals combat damage to a player, they get the top 3 cards of your library. Put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest back on top of your library in any order. Delirium, Grim Flare gets +2/+2 as long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Next up, Queen Marchesa. 1, a red, a white, and a black for a 3/3 legendary creature human assassin with death touch and haste. When Queen Marchesa enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent is the monarch, put a 1/1 black assassin creature token with death touch and haste onto the battlefield. Let's see. Rings of Brightheart. 3, artifact. Whenever you activate an ability, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 2. If you do, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. Without flame, there would be no iron tools, no cooked meats, no purge of old growth to make room for new. Brighthearth Creed. Let's see. Phyrexian Dreadnought. A 1 mana 12/12 with trample. Artifact creature, I'm assuming horror, with trample. Whenever Phyrexian Dreadnought comes into play, sacrifice any number of creatures with total power of 12 or more, or bury Phyrexian Dreadnought, and then the artist Pete Venters signed it really big with silver Sharpie.
Yay.
And that card's worth like $140 now.
Oh.
I traded for it for 12.
Nice.
Smuggler's Copter.
GameStop
I respect
Oh.
Lykios way more for his magic card collection than I respect people when they tell me about their stocks. Do you
Smuggler's.
remember the one guy that told us about the stocks he got in the cruise industry like
Yeah.
2 months before the pandemic
Oh
started?
my god.
That was some wild shit.
No, it was after. It was
Yeah,
like April.
it's gonna come back.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's not gonna be that big.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be
go ahead.
over by April 2020.
Smuggler's Copter.
You're making everyone sad.
Smuggler's Copter. 2 mana 3/3 artifact vehicle. Flying. Whenever Smuggler's Copter attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Good night, Skynex.
Good night.
Mur
Still
Superion. 2 generic mana for a 5/6 artifact creature, Mir. Spend only mana produced by creatures to cast Mir Superion. Mycosynth Latisse. 6 mana for an artifact. All permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types. All cards that aren't in play, spells, and permanents are colorless. Players may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. Where's the friggin'... Where is it? Here we go. I didn't know I had this in here. Morathon the Boundless. 7 generic mana for a 6/6 legendary creature, Shapeshifter. Changeling. As Morathon the Boundless enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Spells of the chosen type cast 1 mana of each color less to cast. This effect uses only the amount of colored mana you pay. Other creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Engineered Explosives. X. Artifact. Sunburst. When this artifact enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. Pay 2 and sacrifice Engineered Explosives. Destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana costs equal to the number of charge counters on Engineered Explosives. I should put this in my Seraph deck.
Seraph.
That'd be really good for Seraph. And that's it, because we're not doing the fucking lands. Good night, everyone.
Lands Revolution. What's the raid?
Time to find a raid. Alright.
It's time.
Dang, I feel more informed. Who wouldn't? Look, I ate all the peeps. They're all gone now.
Okay,
Alright.
here we go. It's happening. It's happening.
Alright, everybody, go
Bye.
wish the streamer a warm hello from us.
Oh.
It's me, Yuri. That's it.
That's your. That's
all
the
you
only.
get.
That's the Yuri cameo. The
Well, they all
single.
saw my
hair.
butt.
Oh, it's a new tweet notification from Pumpkin Cream Pie.
I looked respectfully.
Oh, I was just a retweet from earlier. Shame.
Oh no, they just ended their broadcast.
Oh no!
I'll get fucked.